Chapter 4671. In Gaduan King's territory, there were many silver wolves, but there could only be one silver wolf leader. However, there was more than one head realm that appeared on the horizon. In another direction, a ferocious tiger appeared. It was the king of tigers. After Gaduan became the king here, he gave an order that there could only be one leader among his kind. The leader was the current head realm. There was no limit to the number of head realm warriors under the leader, and below the head realm were the kings of their respective teams. For example, the wolf king that Zi Chen and the others had killed previously, and the deer king that had been wandering around the periphery and was killed. The silent Ji Song said, "I'll give you one more chance. Either submit or die." Chung Ho was a little hesitant. They were indeed in a dangerous situation. Even if they did not submit, they should leave. The Frost Lady did not speak, but her attacks were even fiercer. Her attitude was clear. The two head realm warriors moved forward. However, after taking a few steps, they suddenly turned around and looked into the distance. There was a hint of vigilance in their eyes. Ji Song felt that something was amiss. However, his realm was not high enough, so he could not sense anything unusual. However, the two head realm warriors did not move forward. Naturally, they had their concerns. "Let's end this quickly," Ji Song said indifferently. The Gushan people around them increased the speed of their attacks. The two head realm warriors tried to move forward again. The battle was in a stalemate again. Shen Hong looked forward and his eyes began to flicker. At this moment, both sides were obviously evenly matched. They were in a stalemate, like a scale. However, if there was an external force, it would be different. This external force could be any force. Shen Hong's expression changed. Since he had chosen to take this step, he had to pay a price. Will Ji Wei change his mind? Shen Hong was a little worried. If Ji Wei changed his mind again, the credit would be his. However, it seemed that Ji Wei was planning to fight to the death. After thinking about it, he finally made up his mind and said, "Let's do it." He walked forward with killing intent in his eyes. "Master Ji Song, we're here to help." As he moved forward, Shen Hong did not forget to shout, indicating his position in advance. Ji Song nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Shen Hong was excited. He knew that he had made the right bet. He immediately waved his hand, and the crowd behind him increased their speed. Because they had consumed a lot of energy earlier, Tyrant and the others were barely able to deal with the Ji Shan people. The addition of these divine race members was indeed a tremendous pressure for them. This was because Shen Hong and the others would change the direction of the battle. In another direction, Mo Di was anxious. "This is a great opportunity. Should we go over?" Mo Zhengtian was hesitating. Actually, he was feeling regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have expressed his stance. Mo Yishuang shook her head and said, "What we did before was providing timely assistance. Now that we're there, it's just icing on the cake. Not only is the effect reduced, but the other party might not appreciate it either. Let's wait and see. There's still a long way to go, so there's no need to rush." Shen Hong's men entered the battlefield, and the Ji Shan people immediately split up. Tyrant was a little anxious as he glanced at Zi Chen. Shen Hong's men had made their move. They unleashed their powerful combat strength. Every one of them was in the formation realm. The situation of the battle immediately became unfavorable for everyone. Puff. Xing Chen retreated and coughed out a mouthful of blood. There was an additional wound on his abdomen. It was caused by the bamboo weapon. Initially, Shen Hong's team only had a few bamboo weapons. However, when they came over, they picked up the bamboo weapons beside the Ji Shan people that they had killed and used them as their own weapons. Han Enyu and Chung Ho no longer had the time to care about this place. Hei Feng was also forced to retreat. Zi Chen's side was about to die soon. This made Shen Hong even more pleased. The situation of the battle was already changing. At this moment, Zi Chen opened his eyes. There was a glow in his eyes. This glow was a little strange. The aura in the surroundings seemed to have changed. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. "All of you shall die." Zi Chen stood up and glared at Shen Hong. "None of you shall live." A silver thunderbolt lit up from Zichen's body. The power of the heavens and earth gathered towards Zichen crazily. The power of the thunderbolt was still gathering. A light array appeared beneath Zichen's feet. Array realm. Zichen, who had not awakened any abilities, not only did he awaken the power of the thunderbolt, he even reached the array realm. However, before the light array could form, Zichen's figure had already disappeared. The next moment, he was in front of Shenhong. Puff! The bamboo blade in his hand pierced through Shenhong's chest. Shenhong retreated slowly. His face was filled with fear. He was unscathed. At the critical moment, a subordinate stood in front of him and blocked Zichen's attack for him. Zichen did not even look at this God clan member. He pulled out his bamboo blade and took a step forward. A burst of energy dispersed, bringing with it a circle of dust. Zichen's figure disappeared. "Sir, retreat." A loud roar sounded. Another person stood in front of Shenhong and used his body to block Zichen's bamboo blade. The second God clan member died. Shenhong retreated in fear. At this moment, facing Zichen, who was in the array realm, he felt that he could not fight back. Die. Several God clan members charged towards him from both sides. They all had bamboo blades in their hands. All of them had gathered their strength to the peak. Zichen glanced at them. A purple light flew out from his sea of consciousness. Then, it split into 5 and entered the glabella of the 5 God clan members. The God clan members stopped in their tracks. Their vitality was extinguished like a candle flame that had been blown out. At this moment, Zichen's body was surrounded by 50 different powers. These powers were not pure. There was lightning, purple light, and streams of golden light flowing around him. No one knew what was going on. However, everyone could clearly sense that the purple light from before was the power of the soul. After coming to this world, they had never seen anyone who could awaken their soul power. This purple soul power was Zichen's purple soul. In the past, Zichen had already awakened his perception ability. However, he did not appear in this form. Today, after obtaining the Chen technique and the power of the thunderbolt, the power of purple soul was displayed. Han Enyu looked back. Her eyes were a little dazed. She seemed to have seen the Zichen of the past return. Chung Ho also noticed this abnormality. His expression changed. Zichen's actions intimidated the other God clan members. For a moment, no one dared to go forward. Instead, they protected Shenhong and retreated. The weapons of the dead God clan members fell to the side. The next moment, these weapons floated in the air one by one. Purple light flowed on them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Like hidden weapons, these weapons flew out and sank into the chests of the retreating God clan members. Zichen took a step forward. His body paused for a moment. Then, his entire body dissipated. Not good. Shenhong, who was already trembling in fear, saw this scene. His expression changed drastically as he retreated again. Several people stood in front of him, wanting to block the danger for him. Poof! A bamboo blade appeared from behind and pierced through his heart, completely penetrating his body. Zichen stood behind Shenhong. Chapter 4672. In the blink of an eye, Shenhong was killed. The combat strength of the two was not on the same level at all. When the other divine clan members saw this, they did not flee in fear. Instead, they charged towards Zichen as if they had gone mad. However, it was useless. Before he had awakened his powers, Zichen was already able to kill the Grey Hills. Now that he had awakened his powers, his light of power had reached the boundary of the formation state. Although these Protoss had powerful means, they were still no match for Zichen. One by one, the divine clan members fell and died. But in the face of such a massacre, they had no intention of escaping. All of them were fighting to the death. It seemed that Shenhong's identity was not simple. Even if these people returned, they would still die. Zichen did not hold back. These guys who had lost their minds had to die. We have to go. At this moment, Chung Ho's voice sounded. His expression became serious. Because there was another strange movement in the horizon. Other First Realm cultivators had appeared and were approaching. Zichen glanced at both sides. Without needing any words, Devil Ape, Tyrant, Zhong Haotian, Su Mengyaro, and Wang Xianer were charging in this direction. The Grashman could leave, but these divine clan members could not. So before they left, they had to kill these divine clan members. A cold current surged. Lady Frost retreated to Zi Chen's side and said, "Hurry up and leave." Chung Ho also rushed back. Ji Song, who was in the distance, laughed and said, "Can you guys really leave?" Other First Realm cultivators appeared in the horizon. They were all beasts of different species. Almost all the First Realm cultivators of each race had appeared. Everyone was surrounded. There was no escape. When Mo Zhengtian saw this scene, he sighed. After so many twists and turns, it's still hard to escape death. In such a situation, no one could escape. Suddenly, under the feet of Zi Chen and the rest, the ground cracked open. A huge hole suddenly appeared, and everyone fell into the ground. Such an unforeseen event caused Ji Song to be slightly startled. It did not remember making such arrangements. Ji Song immediately rushed forward and came to the place where Zi Chen and the rest had disappeared. There was a huge hole below, and there was no one there. "Chase after him!" Ji Song shouted angrily. The Ji Shan people in the distance all ran over and jumped into the cave to chase after them. Ji Song turned around, wanting to find the rat from before, but he found that the rat had already disappeared. Asterisk 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 at the outermost area, a large hole appeared in the ground, and a group of people jumped out of the hole. The speech realm rat from before stood at the side with a fawning expression. Chung Ho glanced at the other party with an unfriendly expression. Zi Chen cupped his fists to the side. There was a white rat standing upright, leaning on a walking stick. "Thank you for saving me, Senior." Previously, when they fell into the cave, it was this existence who led the way for them, allowing them to escape successfully. The depths are currently not peaceful. You all should stay here for the time being. The white rat waved its hand. Its voice sounded a little old. It glanced at the speechless rat beside it. The speech realm mouse immediately prostrated on the ground, its body trembling. "Go out and get some information," said the white mouse. "Yes, Patriarch." The speech realm mouse felt as if it had been granted amnesty and immediately fled. Having just experienced a great battle, everyone was healing their injuries. Chung Ho stood in front of the Frost Lady, waiting to be reprimanded. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The Ji Shan people jumped into the cave and began to chase. However, they soon found that one cave had become two, so they split into two groups. Not long after, the two caves became four, and they could only continue to disperse. 4 became 8, and 8 became 16. The number of caves in the ground continued to increase, causing the number of Ji Shan people to continuously disperse. In the end, they completely lost their target. Ji Song had been standing outside the cave and waiting. After the latest news came, a cold killing intent appeared in its eyes. "Go and kill the rats." The head realm that had arrived stood at the side with a troubled expression. There were too many rats here. How could they kill them all? If they could really kill them all, they would have taken action long ago and wouldn't have waited until today. In history, the annoying rats had been surrounded many times, but when had they been destroyed? Go find the cats and let them take action. They must kill all the rats. Ji Song said coldly. If they can't kill them all, then the stinky cat race will die out. Also, let those wild dogs help. After giving these instructions, Ji Song walked forward. As for the head realm and speech realm experts, they left. The humans in the periphery were not enough for them to kill. Those who escaped earlier will be killed soon. As for you, if you want to join us and become stronger, you can come to me at any time. After saying that, Ji Song left. The corpses from before were left, but the bamboo soldiers were all taken away by the Ji Shan people. Those should have been Zi Chen's spoils of war, but unfortunately, they had escaped in a hurry and didn't take them away. The others were envious, but they didn't dare to go forward. Asterisk 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 asterisk. After awakening his ability, Zi Chen's combat strength had increased a lot. He was almost uninjured, and after recovering from his exhaustion, he sat together with the Frost Lady. Chung Ho squatted next to him, a hint of bitterness in his eyes. Earlier, he had been scolded to his face, but Zichen didn't care about the code of brotherhood and stood aside to watch the show. Since you're in this world, then cultivate well. Once you get out, you'll benefit a lot, the Frost Lady said to Zichen. Sister, have you been to this place before? Zichen asked curiously. Once, the Frost Lady said. I know a little about this place. Why? Didn't Chung Ho tell you? Zichen told her about his meeting with Chung Ho. Facing the Frost Lady's gaze, Chung Ho hurriedly explained, It's not my fault. We didn't appear in the same place, and I had a hard time looking for him. Seeing the Frost Lady's gaze grow colder and colder, Chung Ho hurriedly raised his hand and begged for mercy. All right, I'll tell you a bit more. Based on what I know, after reaching the formation realm, it should be easy to become a holy sovereign. If you can reach the speech realm, that'll be even more amazing. However, if you can reach the head realm here, you'll have an extremely high chance of becoming an ancient holy sovereign. This was what Chung Ho personally felt. Not long after coming here, he had adapted to this place, and thus had the strength of a head realm expert. Chung Ho's expression gradually became serious. But this world also has the fiend realm. As for what realm it corresponds to in the spirit realm, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's the realm that holy sovereigns have always been pursuing, but it might not appear in the spirit realm. As for Ge Dun, it belongs to a separate realm. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. Chapter 4673. These were all Chung Ho's guesses, but the level of this world was indeed higher than that of the spirit world. Otherwise, the three races wouldn't have come here. Most importantly, it was extremely difficult to break through to the saint level in the spirit world. But as long as you awakened your ability here, you could break through your shackles and become a saint-level saint. For the spirit world, this was undoubtedly a cheat-like place. Many people had always wanted to uncover the secrets of this world, but no one had succeeded. By the way, why did those rats save you? Chung Ho suddenly thought of this question. If it weren't for the rats' help, they would have suffered a great loss this time. But those rats were all cowards. How could they dare to go against the people of Gaduan? Zichen shook his head, expressing his confusion. He had never interacted with rats before. Could it be fate that saved his life? But no matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem like it, because they were clearly going against the king of Gaduan. Could the rats bear the king's anger? Unfortunately, the white rat had already left, and Zichen couldn't verify it. Asterisk 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 stinking cat, stupid dog, I know you're here. Get out here. A cold voice rang out, and a silver wolf stood outside the cave. What's the matter? A black shadow walked out of the cave. It was a large black dog. Although it could speak, it wasn't in the speech realm, but the head realm above it. It was the leader of all the dogs in this area. Where's the dead cat? Why hasn't she come out yet? The silver wolf glanced at the cave. A speed shadow cat walked out. Silver wolf, what's the matter? Lord Ge Song said that you two should go and exterminate the white rats. Don't leave a single one alive. The tall silver wolf looked down at the cat and dog. Exterminate? You can exterminate the rat race? The speed shadow cat said, Silver wolf, are you crazy, or are you still asleep? This is the Lord's order. If you have any objections, you can go and complain to the Lord. But I advise you not to touch this bad luck, because the Lord said that if the rats don't die, you will die. A hint of cruelty appeared in the silver wolf's eyes. I've wanted to tear you two apart for a long time. Don't give me the chance. Your inner cores are good stuff. After saying that, the silver wolf turned around and left. The cat and dog stared at the back of the silver wolf without saying anything. After the silver wolf left, the speedy cat asked, What did that white-haired wolf do? The sharp-blade dog let out a roar. A moment later, a speech realm sharp-blade dog came over and quickly explained what had happened. Yang Jing Feng Dao go left, leaving the cat and dog leaders behind. The two of them fell into silence. After a while, the leader of the speed shadow cats asked, What do you think? Feng Dao Go said helplessly, let's go find White Hair and ask him about the situation. I think that guy is crazy. The white-furred rat returned, and by now, everyone had recovered quite a bit. Following this, the white-furred rat informed them of the latest situation. When Zichen heard about the pursuit of the flame rats, he said in an ashamed tone, "We've implicated you, senior. This has nothing to do with you. Don't blame yourself." The white-furred rat smiled slightly and said, "Moreover, our flame rat bloodline is not strong in terms of battle prowess, but in terms of survival ability, no one can compare to us." Even so, Zichen still felt guilty, because the white-furred rat had saved him, but now it had implicated quite a few flame rats. The white-furred rat said, "If you really feel bad, then quickly increase your strength and then go kill them all." Seeing Zichen's startled expression, the white-furred rat said, "There's no need to worry. They all deserve to die. Moreover, if you want to grow quickly, you must refine their nidans." Zichen said, "But after the formation realm, there are no energy crystals, right? That's for the deformed Gushan people. The other species all have nidans, and the stronger their battle prowess, the higher the nidans grade." The white-furred rat smiled and said, "So, there's no need to worry. Just keep on killing. Ancestor, the cat and dog leaders are here." The speech realm mouse that had gone out to scout earlier came out from the ground. "What are they doing here?" The white-furred rat was slightly startled, then said, "Stay here and see if anyone needs anything. Do your best to satisfy them." The speech realm mouse promised, "Don't worry, ancestor." When the white-furred rat left, it nodded at Han Enyu and Chung Ho, then burrowed into the ground and left. After it left, Chung Ho said somewhat worriedly, "Didn't you notice that they seem to be treating us too well?" Han Enyu said, "Not us, but Zichen." She had long since noticed that the white-furred rat's attitude towards Zichen was very unusual. This time, it had taken such a great risk to help everyone, probably because of Zichen. But she didn't know why. The white-furred rat burrowed out of the ground, just in time to see the cat and dog leaders. The two sides had known each other for a long time and couldn't be more familiar with each other. "Why are you here?" Feng Dao Dog snorted and said, "Ge Song ordered us to kill you. Why do you think we're here?" Speed Shadow Cat also said unhappily, "Of all the things you could do, why did you have to offend Ge Song? Now, if we don't exterminate your clan, we'll die. Old thing, it's fine if you want to die, but why do you have to drag us down with you?" The white-furred rat said helplessly, "This time, I didn't provoke them. They provoked me. I'm in a passive position." "Bullshit. Don't think I don't know that you saved people right under Ge Song's nose." Feng Dao Dog was angry. Speed Shadow Cat said, "Send them back, then apologize to Ge Song. Maybe there's still room to turn things around." The white-furred rat shook its head. "You two are still too young. You don't understand Ge Song, and you don't understand the past. Originally, I wanted to go find you three, but since you're here, I'll make it clear. I can't hand over the humans. As for you two, don't have any other ideas. The four of us have always been disliked, and it hasn't been like this for a day or two. If your father were still alive, he would definitely make the same choice as me, because this is one of our few chances." The white-furred rat's eyes suddenly flashed. "Haven't you always wanted revenge?" The expressions of the cat and dog leaders changed. Feng Dao Dog said, "What do you mean?" "I don't mean anything," said the white-furred rat. "Right now, I'm lacking some inner cores. If you have any, hurry up and send them over. As for Ge Song, you don't need to deliberately reply. For the time being, I'll have the cubs go into hiding." Seeing the two leaders hesitate, the white-furred rat said, "This might be your only chance. You two don't need to know the truth. Just give me some inner cores. As for the rest, I'll take care of it. Also, don't go looking for that stupid bird. It's been busy lately." Chapter 4674. "Sir, are we going out to hunt today?" Bumi came to Zichen and asked excitedly. Zichen looked at Bumi helplessly. It clearly had the strength of the speech realm, and its true combat strength was much stronger than his, but it always followed him and called him Lord. He had corrected it many times, and Bumi always nodded in agreement, but it still called him sir. Sir, I found a little wolf king today. Do you want to kill it? Zichen couldn't kill a speech state in a one-on-one fight, so he spent most of his time hunting the king of a small group. They were all in the formation state with 99 strands of power. Once they reached the speech state, they would be in the speech state. The rats had been very low-key recently, but they still had a lot of information. Zichen could use this information to easily find prey. I'm going to cultivate today. Zichen took out an inner core. This was given to him by the rat. It was the inner core of a speech state beast. Zichen couldn't get it by himself. Bumi was a bit disappointed. At this moment, it saw Chung Ho walk over. Its eyes lit up. Sir, do you want to hunt the leaders? Those leaders also have Nidans. Chung Ho glanced at it and didn't bother replying. He was willing to hunt the leaders. As long as it could increase his power, why not? However, the white-furred rat reminded Chong how that not everyone could improve through the Nidan. Everyone's potential was limited. Once they reached a limit, they couldn't improve and grow. On this point, Pei Wenyao proved it very well. After he reached 60 strands of power, no matter how he refined the crystals, he couldn't improve at all. Opportunities were useless here. It all depended on one's talent and compatibility with the laws. During this time, Zichen let him try to refine the inner core of a speech state beast, but he still didn't improve. Thus, 60 strands of power was Pei Wenyao's limit. Fortunately, the others did not experience such a situation. Currently, their strength was steadily increasing. Among them, Zichen had caught up from behind and was advancing very quickly. Currently, his strength had exceeded 80 strands. As for Tyrant and the others, their strength had already exceeded 90. It wouldn't be long before they could break through to the speech state. As for whether he could successfully reach the speech realm, this was a matter for another time. After Feng Dao Dog and Speedy Shadowcat returned, they were a little nervous. After all, this was Gaduan King's territory, and they were his subordinates. As Ge Dun King's subordinates, he had direct command over them. Therefore, the task of exterminating the rats was not something that they had to carry out. The Silver Wolf's words weren't that simple. It really wanted to kill the two leaders. If it wasn't for Gaduan King's orders, the two leaders wouldn't have survived. However, this kind of protection was only relative. If both sides really fell out with each other, King Gaduan would not pursue the Silver Wolf. This was also the reason why cats and dogs usually stayed together, just in case. This was because compared to the other leaders, cats and dogs were considered outsiders and were not treated well. No one would side with an outsider, let alone an outsider without strength and ability. Fortunately, this kind of worry did not appear. No one from the top came to pursue this matter, as if they had forgotten about it. The rats were still hiding underground and rarely showed themselves. However, they did not miss any news that they should have. Asterisk 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 my lord, you haven't hunted for a long time. If you don't go out and practice, your hands will be rusty. Bumi came in front of Zichen again. It seemed to be very bored and often came here to give Zichen advice. Zichen smiled. Indeed, I should go out and practice. Do you have any good suggestions? Bumi quickly said. Yes, there is a tiger nearby that has taken over the mountain. We can go and kill it. Don't worry, it's not a speech state. Okay, let's go take a look. Zichen stood up. Under Bumi's lead, he walked towards the so-called target. Wait for me. Tyrant called out. He was quite bored, so he followed. I'm coming too. Monster Ape also came over. Zichen glanced at the two. Aren't you cultivating? My power reached 99, then I got stuck. Maybe I'll improve if I go out for a walk, Monster Ape said. Tyrant was in the same situation. That's good. Asterisk 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 a young man in white walked over from a field, his hands clasped behind his back as he looked around at the beautiful scenery. Occasionally, he encountered some beasts, but when they saw the young man in white, they would immediately avoid him. The youth walked all the way to the periphery until he arrived at a sea of flowers. Looking at the flowers in front of him, the young man's expression changed. As if he had seen countless delicacies, the young man gulped. How enviable! He reached out and grabbed at the air. The flowers in front of him immediately withered. Countless amounts of pollen flew into the air and converged like a stream of water towards the young man. The young man opened his mouth and swallowed the pollen. The sea of flowers was clearly smaller now. The young man closed his eyes and smacked his lips, an expression of intoxication on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw a beautiful woman standing in front of him. The young man chuckled. "Are you angry? But, what can you do to me?" The woman stood in the middle of the sea of flowers. Countless petals danced around her, making her look like a flower fairy. The young man tilted his head, revealing his white neck. He pointed with his finger. "Do you want to chop me to death? Too bad you don't dare to come out. How about I cover for you while you come and chop off my head?" Danxiang looked at the young man in white, still not saying anything. "Woman, you're really boring. Forget it. Since you don't dare to come out, you can only wait for me to slowly devour your laws." The young man stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. "When there is no more distance between us, I'll definitely do it with you. The taste should be excellent. I'm leaving. When you miss me, remember to think of me. I'll come often." The young man waved goodbye to Danxiang, then walked off in another direction. This sea of flowers was permanently damaged, with no possibility of recovery. Because what was lost was not only pollen, but also laws. When the sea of flowers disappeared, this flower fairy would fall. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Under Bumi's lead, Zichen arrived at the peak of the mountain and saw the tiger. It was only in the formation realm, and it occupied the mountain by itself. In the end, Zichen didn't have to do anything. The devil ape and the monk fought over the tiger and killed it. As a spectator, Zichen watched with relish. Bumi flattered him from the side. This was the monk's spoils of war. Just as he was about to take the crystal, he saw the devil ape glance at the peak of the mountain. The next moment, light blossomed from the peak, and a large rock whistled toward him. A sneak attack. The monk's expression changed. 99 beams of light appeared, and a light formation formed beneath his feet. He was ready for battle. The devil ape took a step forward, and the entire mountain shook. He reached out and stopped the rock with a single hand. The rock landed in his hand, and boundless light blossomed. Then, the rock turned into a stone staff, which he grasped in his hand. Chapter 4675. In the ape's hand, the big stone turned into a stone stick, and the light on the stick gradually faded. Feeling the weight of the stone stick, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile, and he waved it twice. Immediately, sand and stones flew around, and the whole mountain seemed to tremble. Just by waving the stick, the whole mountain was affected. The ape laughed and glanced at the monk who had just snatched the prey from him, very proud. Seeing this, the monk immediately ran to the top of the mountain. Feeling uneasy, he picked up a huge stone, and the light of the power around him gathered on the stone, and shouted, "Chain." Unfortunately, it didn't change. The monk dropped the big stone in his hand, and then picked up the next one, and continued to shout, "Change." A person appeared beside the ape, and he looked at the ape with a smile. Zichen guessed the person's identity, and went forward to thank him. The ape held the stick and cupped his fist. "Your luck is not bad." The person smiled, and then looked at the monk on the top of the mountain. "Little friend, this is the only opportunity here. If you want it, you can try your luck elsewhere." The monk was very depressed, and resentfully walked down. "This is too much of a bully. So many people got the opportunity, why didn't I?" The ape laughed. "Monk, let's fight." The monk glanced at the stick in the ape's hand. "Fight my ass." A monk must avoid fighting fiercely. Feeling uneasy, the monk unwillingly asked, "Mountain God, do you know where there are other opportunities?" The man called Mountain God was slightly startled, and then smiled. "I don't know, the so-called opportunity has to be predestined." The monk asked again, "Then do you have any relatives or friends? For example, other mountain gods, can you introduce them?" "No." The man shook his head. Seeing that the monk still wanted to say something, Zichen had to pull him away, and did not forget to say goodbye to the man. This is too embarrassing. The monk was very depressed, and he was in a bad mood. He couldn't understand why good things never came to him. When they reached the bottom of the mountain, the monk's mood gradually calmed down. He looked at Zichen and asked, "Where are you going next?" "Back." "Don't. It's boring to go back, let's go somewhere else to hunt." The monk looked at Bumi. "Is there any other prey nearby?" "There's a silver wolf not far from here," Bumi said. "Then don't just stand there, let's go," the monk urged. Zichen glanced at Tyrant. Naturally, he knew what this guy was planning. It was nothing more than going to some other places to try his luck. Perhaps he would be able to find his own luck. Under Tyrant's strong request, Zichen went to kill 2 more Formation Realm Kings. Tyrant stood by the side and didn't do anything. However, he didn't obtain any opportunities either. On the way back, he was not in a good mood, but the devil ape was waving the stone stick in its hand, very satisfied with this unexpected surprise. Bumi looked at the monk and suggested, "Next time we continue hunting, we can go to a place with mountains and rivers, maybe we can find something." "Yes, that's the way it should be." Tyrant stepped forward and patted Bumi's head. "Bumi, I see that you are very familiar with this place, so I will leave this matter to you. You won't disappoint, right?" "Don't worry, Your Excellency, I will do it well," Bumi promised. It seemed to be very enthusiastic about this kind of thing. After returning, Zichen met with the White Rat, who told him a piece of important news. Geduan's region was in turmoil, and one of the 3 Gushan demons under Geduan's command had died in battle. The Gushan demons were existences beyond the head realm. There were only 3 of them in Geduan's region, and their combat strength was second only to Geduan's. During this time, Ge Song didn't pursue the matter with the rats because of this incident. At this moment, Geduan's attention was focused on the depths, and he had no time to care about these trivial matters. After all, the death of a Gushan demon was a big blow to Geduan's power. The White Rat looked at Zichen. "Ge Song has no time to care about this, so you can do whatever you want and try to reach the head realm as soon as possible. That way, if Ge Song comes looking for trouble again, you can protect yourself." Zichen's current strength had reached 93 Dao paths, and there were only 6 Dao paths left to reach the bottleneck of 99 Dao paths. Zichen hadn't felt the bottleneck yet, so it shouldn't be a problem for him to reach 99 Dao paths. As for whether he could break through, it was still unknown. Before leaving, the White Rat gave Zichen another dantian and told him to continue refining it. Apart from Pei Wenyaro, who was stuck at 60 Dao paths, everyone else had reached 99 Dao paths, and everyone was stuck there. After that, Zichen stayed there and didn't go out until his strength reached 99 Dao paths. Then, he felt the bottleneck himself. It was as if there were invisible shackles on his body. Even without refining the Dao paths, Zichen knew that he couldn't break through. 99 strands of strength was his current limit. Under normal circumstances, Zichen would leave this place. However, the current situation wasn't normal. The door to leave hadn't been opened, and staying here was extremely dangerous. It was a dilemma. "My lord, why don't we go find a speech realm cultivator to play with?" Biyumi came in front of Zichen and suggested. "What do you mean?" Zichen glanced at the other party. Biyumi grinned. "My lord, you're at the peak of the formation realm now. There's no point in fighting other formation realms. Why don't we go play with a speech realm cultivator?" "A speech realm cultivator?" Zichen smiled. "Aren't you a speech realm cultivator?" "No, my lord, you can't." Biyumi waved his little paws. "Come, I'll just treat it as a practice session." Zichen said, "If I don't test the power of a speech realm cultivator in advance, how can I deal with other speech realm cultivators after I leave?" Seeing Zichen's insistence, Biyumi could only bite the bullet and agree. Zichen took a few steps back. His aura began to circulate, and a light formation appeared under his feet. When Biyumi saw this, he knew that he couldn't avoid it. Fortunately, he could only accompany Zichen to practice. If he refused, he wouldn't be able to get away with it in front of the Patriarch. An even larger light formation extended from Bumi's feet. The aura of a speech realm cultivator surged. Zichen tapped his foot and instantly closed in on Bumi, punching out. Bumi's body flew into the air for a brief moment. He reached out with his little paws and blocked Zichen's punch. Bam! A ripple spread out. Zichen's body slid backward while Bumi tumbled away. So this was the result. Zichen's expression didn't change. He charged forward again and punched again. This time, the power of the punch was even stronger. Golden light swirled around the fist. This was the power of Zichen's physical body. It could also be called the art of Chen. Bam! Chapter 4676. Bumi was sent flying backward, seemingly unable to withstand a single blow. On the other hand, Zichen's expression was solemn. The other party had taken 2 of his attacks without being injured at all. Bumi landed on the ground and grinned. Swoosh! Zichen's vision blurred as Bumi approached him like a huge wave, bringing with it a powerful oppressive aura. Zichen clenched his fists and crossed them in front of his body to block. 99 rays of power spun around his body. Another loud tremor sounded. Zichen's body retreated as a powerful force appeared between his crossed arms. Bumi landed easily and exerted his strength again. Bang! 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 The ground trembled as powerful fluctuations spread out. Monk and the others heard the commotion and walked over. They happened to see the 2 sides fighting. Their strength had reached 99 rays, but they could not advance any further. Looking at the battle before them, they could truly sense the power of the Yang realm. Last time, everyone was lucky to be able to succeed when they worked together. During this period, the carelessness of the Yang realm also played a role. He's only 1 step away from the Yang realm, but the difference in strength is so great. Monk shook his head slightly, feeling somewhat indignant. During this period of time, they had tried many methods, but no one had broken through. This had nothing to do with talent, but the suppression of the rules. It wasn't that they didn't have the ability, but the rules here didn't allow it, so they could only stay in this realm. Smoke rose as Zichen quickly retreated. Rays of power flowed around his body, neutralizing the remaining force. Don't hold back. Use your methods. Bumi opened his mouth and spat out a ball of flames. A huge fireball headed straight for Zichen. Beside Zichen, a bamboo blade flew into his hand. He held the bamboo blade and slashed at the fireball in front of him. Strong light shot out in all directions as a powerful force surged. It was cut in half. The separated fireball dissipated in front of Zichen, and the scorching airwaves slapped Zichen's face. More than 10 flames flew out and attacked Zichen from all directions. They were not as large as before, but their power was not reduced. Zichen swung his saber again, and saber beams kept lighting up. The flames disappeared one after another. By the time the last flame disappeared, Zichen had already retreated more than 10 feet. His face was somewhat pale, and the bamboo blade in his hand was charred black with sparks. Bumi landed on the ground and stopped attacking. He said respectfully, "My lord is indeed powerful. Even I am no match for you." Zichen glanced at Bumi. He had punched Bumi several times, but he hadn't been able to hurt it. It was clear that Bumi's body was quite strong. This bamboo weapon is too useless. "Sir, what you need now is a suitable weapon." Bumi smiled and said, "Why don't we go out for a walk again? Perhaps I'll encounter some opportunities. Count me in." Monk walked over and witnessed the battle. Without a good weapon, Monk naturally didn't feel good. Ever since the demon ape had obtained the stone staff, the monk had always been brooding over powerful weapons. "What's the situation outside?" Zichen didn't answer immediately, but asked first. Bumi said, "Something happened in Gaduan. A demon died in battle. They're too busy looking for the murderer to care about us. Then we can go out for a walk." Asterisk 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 asterisk. The white-clothed youth wandered around the periphery. After leaving the sea of flowers, he went to a forest but didn't go in. With a wave of his hand, the forest shrank a little. Under the tree's gaze, he swaggered away. He passed by a mountain and came to a lake. He looked at the lake in front of him and stretched. He said in boredom, "I've eaten too many times. How boring." The water in the center of the lake suddenly churned. A woman wearing a veil appeared from the center of the lake and looked at the white-clothed youth. The white-clothed youth looked at the woman from head to toe. His gaze wandered around her waist. "You haven't changed much." He reached out his hand and grabbed the air. His gaze moved up her waist and finally stopped at a certain place. "But it feels good. One day, you will die," the woman in front of him coldly said. "Is that so?" The young man in white laughed and said, "Have you become stupid from sleeping? I am the god of this place. Who can kill me?" Not far away, the soil on the ground gently churned. A small hole appeared and a mouse poked its head out. It seemed to be looking for food. It was very vigilant and looked around carefully. The white-clothed youth reached out and grabbed. The lake water in front of him surged. A large amount of water flew out like a water dragon and rushed towards the youth. The youth opened his mouth and swallowed all the water into his stomach. "Look, I took away a part of your power. What can you do to me?" The woman looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. "How boring. Why don't you at least say a few more harsh words and let me see that helpless and desperate expression of yours?" The youth immediately snapped his fingers. Not far away, the mouse that had just poked its head out seemed to be imprisoned and slowly flew up. The mouse screamed in fear and struggled. The white-clothed youth looked from afar and laughed. "I'll kill you with one slash." In front of the mouse, the air began to condense and then turned into a wind blade that slashed towards the mouse. With a puff, the wind blade dodged and the mouse's claws cut off one of them. The mouse's screams became more shrill and terrified. The white-clothed youth continued to laugh. "I'll kill you with 2 slashes." The wind blade appeared out of nowhere and cut off the second mouse's claws. "I'll kill you with 3 slashes." The third wind blade appeared, but this time, it directly cut off the mouse's head. The imprisoning power disappeared and the flame mouse's headless body fell to the ground. The white-clothed youth didn't forget to wave goodbye to the woman in the lake. Then, he walked forward while humming a song. "Little mouse, hiding your head and not your tail. Your teeth are sharp and your hair is short. 1 slash will cut you in half." He reached out and pointed forward. A mouse that was hiding underground suddenly flew out. Then, the wind blade appeared out of nowhere and slashed towards the mouse's body. "Cut it in half." The youth reached out and pointed continuously. For a moment, the mice that were hiding underground seemed to be dragged out by a powerful force. Then, the wind blade appeared out of nowhere and killed one mouse after another. The youth walked away and only his singing was heard. Everywhere he went, countless flame mice died. After the youth left, the woman returned to the lake. Asterisk 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 My lord, I just received news that a speech-state silver wolf is drinking water. Let's go and take a look. Under Bumi's lead, Chen and the others walked towards the silver wolf. Not only Chen and the monk, but everyone came out, including Pei Wenyao. He also wanted to see what was going on. When necessary, they could still work together to deal with a speech-state wolf. At the edge of a lake, a silver wolf was drinking by the lake. When it heard the commotion behind it, it turned its head and discovered the group. Asterisk 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 The silver wolf turned around and saw Chen and the others. Its eyes were cold. Bumi, who was a speech-state wolf, hid behind and whispered, "My lord, your target is in front." Chen said, "You're also a speech-state wolf. Why are you afraid of it? It's stronger than me. If it knows that I brought you here, my lord, it will definitely tear me apart first." Bumi said carefully, "Although I believe that my lord can kill it, it's better to be careful." The others glanced at Bumi. It was the first time they saw a speech-state wolf so afraid of death. They wondered if it was because it was a rat. Chen looked around and said, "Was there a battle here?" There were craters on the ground and dried bloodstains everywhere. However, the traces of a battle were not obvious. No one knew what left them. Bumi's eyes turned slightly. "There's an unknown fellow. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's been killing our people." The silver wolf left the lake and slowly walked towards them. "Humans, you have guts." The speech realm silver wolf took the initiative to speak. Chen waved his hand to signal for the others to stop. He walked forward by himself. The silver wolf saw through the human's intentions and its eyes turned even colder. I will tear you apart. Chen's body lit up. 99 rays of power appeared, and the light formation under his feet slowly expanded. You're courting death. An even larger formation appeared under the wolf's feet. The energy of heaven and earth surged, and countless streams of air gathered in front of the silver wolf, turning into wind blades. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The wind blades tore through the air and attacked Chen. After the attack, the silver wolf stood there and watched indifferently. Obviously, it did not think that a mere formation state cultivator could block its attack. The term formation state was invented after the humans arrived. Suddenly, the silver wolf's pupils constricted. It saw the human in front of it dodging the wind blades. He was very fast. He avoided the wind blades and approached it. A powerful aura came from the front. A shining fist smashed towards the silver wolf's head. The silver wolf opened its mouth and let out a roar. A terrifying aura emerged from the light formation under its claws. At the same time, a strong hurricane with wind blades swept towards the approaching Chen. Chen's fist exploded in front of it. A powerful wave of air surged. His punch broke through the hurricane and hit the silver wolf's head. With a bang, the silver wolf retreated. A light flashed under Chen's feet and he approached again. This time, he had a bamboo blade in his hand. The bamboo blade lit up. He slashed down. With a rip, as if a thick cloth was cut open, a bloody wound appeared on the silver wolf's front leg. The silver wolf retreated again, and its expression became serious. Chen tapped his glabella. A purple light flew out and entered the silver wolf's mind. The silver wolf's body swayed and seemed to be unstable. At this moment, Chen came to the silver wolf's side again. He raised the bamboo blade in his hand and slashed down. Monk and the others were watching this scene. They were very focused, and their expressions were somewhat shocked. In the center of the lake, there were ripples on the surface. A woman's head popped out and she was also watching the battle. Bumi, who was hiding in the distance, noticed the woman's presence. Chapter 4677. Bumi's gaze quickly shifted as he pretended not to see the woman poking her head out of the lake. The battle ahead was still ongoing, and it had reached the most critical moment. Chen's bamboo blade slashed open a bloody wound on the silver wolf's neck. The silver wolf roared in pain and turned its head to bite Chen, its teeth glinting coldly. He blocked with his bamboo blade, but it was bitten off by the silver wolf with a crack. Chen's body slid backward, abandoning the broken bamboo blade. The silver wolf spat out the bamboo blade and continued to pounce at Chen. The stench of blood filled the air. At this moment, a purple light flew out from Chen's glabella and entered the silver wolf's mind like a sword beam. The silver wolf's eyes went blank for a moment. When it came to its senses, it saw a fist right in front of it. With a boom, the silver wolf was sent flying and rolled several times when it landed. A bamboo spear flew over from afar. Chen grabbed the bamboo spear and stabbed it at the silver wolf. Fart! The silver wolf had just stood up and was still in a daze. It couldn't dodge the danger. The bamboo spear stabbed into the silver wolf's eyes and pierced through its head. The silver wolf at the speech realm wailed as the light of power it had just mobilized dissipated like a gust of wind. The light array under its feet also dissipated, and its body stood motionless. Just like that, the speech realm beast lost all signs of life. Everyone watching the battle heaved a sigh of relief, but they still couldn't hide their shock. It was so easy to fight a speech realm wolf. When Chen was sparring with Bumi, it was quite difficult for him to do so. Furthermore, everyone could tell that if it weren't for the fact that Chen's weapon wasn't suitable, the battle would have ended the moment Chen slashed at the silver wolf's neck. Apart from the difference in realm, the silver wolf was completely outclassed by Chen in terms of strength and speed. Bumi immediately ran over from afar and was the first to arrive in front of Chen. He stole a glance at the silver wolf's corpse and said excitedly, "Congratulations, my lord. You've won a battle above your level." Chen pulled out the bamboo spear, and the silver wolf's body fell to the ground. He bent down and searched for the silver wolf's inner core. This silver wolf's teeth can even crush bamboo weapons. It should be a good weapon to refine. Sir, if you really need a weapon, the bamboo house is a good place. Not only are there weapons suitable for the Yang realm, there are also weapons suitable for the Head realm. Bumi smiled and said, if my lord is willing, we can also find a weaponized mountain man and kill him. Last time, Zi Chen and the others had killed one of them, but that person didn't have a weapon. The one that was killed by Chung Ho seemed to have one, but unfortunately, they were running away and didn't have time to retrieve it. There's no hurry. Zi Chen found the silver wolf's inner core and dug it out. Biyumi inadvertently glanced at the lake. In the center of the lake, a woman floated out of the water, causing quite a commotion. Such a scene caused everyone's expression to change, and they all looked at the woman. Monk reacted quickly and said first, is this the river god fairy? Once, Su Mengyaro found a blue and white flower in a sea of flowers. That was a great opportunity. Wang Xian had obtained a sword from the tree. It was extraordinary. Previously, it was Wang Xian who had broken through the defense of the Yang realm. Devil Ape followed Zi Chen up the mountain once and found a stone rod. With it, Devil Ape was like a tiger that had grown wings. Recently, Monk, who was at a bottleneck, had been asking Bumi to pay attention to the nearby mountains and rivers in order to find an opportunity to get a weapon. Today, a fairy appeared in the lake. Did this mean that it was an opportunity? In the next moment, the woman stretched out her hand, and a white pearl appeared in her palm. It looked like a glass pearl. Monk opened his eyes wide and shouted, opportunity, this is my opportunity. Thank you, fairy. Zi Chen rolled his eyes. This guy didn't mind at all. The pearl flew forward, emitting a bright light. Monk became even more excited. The others were also surprised. They didn't know what kind of opportunity this was. At this moment, Monk ran forward quickly. Obviously, he couldn't wait any longer. As soon as Monk left, Yi Qian, who was standing beside Su Mengyaro, stretched out her hand and made a gesture of taking something. Monk went to the pearl and wanted to grab it. Suddenly, the pearl sped up and avoided Monk's hand. It flew toward Yi Qian and landed in her palm. Monk was stunned. When he turned around and saw this scene, he became depressed. It's not mine. Biyumi didn't look at the pearl. Instead, he looked at the woman. This is your fate. Congratulations. The woman standing in the center of the lake took the initiative to speak. Zi Chen immediately cupped his fists and thanked her. The others did the same. It was polite to thank someone for giving something out of kindness. Yi Qian held the pearl and bowed to the woman. The woman nodded and then sank back into the lake. Congratulations, congratulations, Biyumi said with a smile. Biyumi chuckled and said, I didn't think we'd be able to find something so unexpected here. If we go to more places, perhaps we'll all be able to find our own opportunities. That's right. You found a place. Monk went forward and patted Bumi's head. There are so many of us. As long as we don't meet the Head realm, there won't be any problems. Biyumi said, don't worry, Lord. The Head realm almost never comes here. Even if they do, we'll get the news in advance and guarantee that you won't be in danger. Since Biyumi had said that, they naturally had to try their luck. In a situation where they couldn't increase their cultivation level, they could only rely on the opportunities here to improve their combat power. They might even encounter an opportunity to break through to the speech realm. Under Bumi's lead, Zi Chen and the others killed one speech realm after another. During this time, they didn't find trouble with the speech realm hillmen. On the one hand, they rarely came to the periphery. On the other hand, Zi Chen was worried about attracting unnecessary trouble. After all, Ji Song's attention had already been diverted. There was no need to attract their attention. After killing these speech realm hillmen, they would keep their inner cores. Right now, refining their inner cores would be useless. Lord, we just received news that there's another speech realm hillman up ahead. Biyumi pointed in another direction for Zi Chen. The group of people walked in that direction. However, halfway through, they encountered a sea of flowers. Zi Chen had an impression of this place. Faint fragrance in the sea of flowers had saved everyone's lives. Su Mengyaro had also obtained her own opportunity here. Everyone was happy at that time. Just as Zi Chen was considering whether to pay Faint Fragrance a visit, there was a sudden exclamation beside him. Zi Chen heard the sound and looked forward. He saw Faint Fragrance's body suspended in the air. It wasn't caused by magic power. Someone had grabbed her by the neck. "Stop!" Zi Chen shouted and rushed forward. Chapter 4678. It was a man in white who was choking Light Fragrance. He stood in the middle of the sea of flowers. Flower Fairy Light Fragrance stood in front of him as if she had no room to fight back. The sea of flowers used to be quite large, but now it had shrunk by more than half. Light Fragrance did not struggle. She seemed to have accepted her fate. Zi Chen shouted and moved forward without hesitation. Light Fragrance had saved their lives before. Now that she was in danger, there was no reason for him not to save her. He did not think about whether he could save her, nor did he think about the background of the man in white. Su Mengyaro and the others did not hesitate either. They followed Zi Chen but were stopped by Bumi. This Yang realm, who had always been easy to talk to and called everyone Lord, showed a rare strong will at this moment. The Yang realm's aura enveloped the area, bringing with it an oppressive aura that stopped everyone. Except for Zi Chen. "Bumi, what are you doing?" Xing Chen shouted. The others also looked coldly at this abnormal guy. "Don't go, you'll die." Bumi instinctively wanted to retreat under everyone's cold gazes, but when he thought of the consequences, he could only continue to block them. "Bullshit, we'll die, but Zi Chen won't." Tyrant said unhappily. "Why don't you stop him? If Lord Zi Chen dies, then you won't be able to survive. If one dies, all of you will die." Bumi said bitterly. "Why don't we let Lord Yang scout them out first?" No one believed Bumi. Tyrant stepped forward and grabbed Bumi's head. "I'll tell you, what do you know?" Bumi's Yang realm's aura disappeared. He pointed into the distance and whispered, "Don't be rash and don't attract attention. Look over there first. As long as you don't go over, you can do whatever you want." He did not tell them to run because he knew it was pointless. If Lord Zi Chen died here today, everyone would die. All of them. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Hearing the shout, the man in white turned around and saw Zi Chen. Zi Chen also saw that it was a young man. A human. The young man in white frowned. "Let her go," Zi Chen said indifferently. The white-clothed youth glanced at Faint Fragrance and asked, "You know her?" "Let her go," Zi Chen repeated. "A mere formation realm cultivator dares to order me around? Interesting." The white-clothed youth faintly smiled. He looked at Danxiang and said, "What's even more interesting is that you knew that he wouldn't be able to save you, yet you didn't do anything. What? Do you want him to die in front of you?" The white-clothed youth tossed Danxiang away. She landed on the ground and coughed. There was already a deep mark on her neck. The young man looked at Zi Chen and then at everyone in the distance. "It's rare to see so many humans at once. Do you want me to sing a song for you?" Faint Fragrance's coughing stopped, and she retreated, maintaining a distance from the youth. Zi Chen didn't understand the young man and didn't dare to act rashly. Everyone in the distance was extremely nervous, and the most nervous was Bumi. This was because they had bet more things. If Zi Chen was defeated and died today, there should be no more flame rats in this area. Since you didn't object, I'll take it that you agreed. The white-clothed youth looked at Zi Chen and smiled as if he was looking at a beloved toy. "I'll kill you with one punch." In front of Zi Chen, the air condensed into a fist and hit Zi Chen's chest. With a grunt, Zi Chen took a few steps back. "I'll kill you with two punches." A second fist appeared out of thin air and hit Zi Chen's body again. Zi Chen flew back a few feet. "What the hell?" Zi Chen's expression changed. The young man just said, "I'll kill you with 3 punches." Zi Chen's figure swayed. He wanted to avoid this attack, but his back hurt again. His whole body fell forward, making an indecent posture like a dog falling on its face. "Hit your forehead, hit your face, and let's do a little performance." The white-clothed youth laughed. Zi Chen's forehead was hit, and his cheeks turned red. At the same time, He felt like he was being grabbed by someone and flew a dozen times in the air. When he landed on the ground, he was dizzy. "Who the hell is that guy?" Bumi asked in a low voice. He knew Zi Chen's strength too well, but in front of the young man, he didn't have any room to react. The most important thing was that the other party really seemed to be singing, but Zi Chen was suffering all the time. He's a very special existence. "I don't know what exactly he is." Bumi shook his head. His knowledge was very limited. "I'll hit you, hit you, hit you again. Interesting, interesting, really interesting." The young man was still laughing. Zi Chen was still enduring the attacks. It was as if the young man's words were law, and his every move was as light as a feather. Zi Chen lay on the ground. The young man asked, "How is it? Can you still hold on?" Zi Chen bent his arms and looked at the young man with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. "How inexperienced do you think you are? What kind of song is this? It's terrible." He was actually thinking about this. The young man's smile disappeared, and a cold expression appeared on his face. "Do you want to die?" Pale Fragrance watched this scene nervously. She retreated again. She knew that the moment of life and death had arrived. Zi Chen stood up and looked at the young man indifferently, although he still couldn't see through the young man's strangeness. "I'm asking you a question. Do you want to die?" the young man said coldly. "Answer me now." The young man immediately stretched out his hand. An invisible force gathered around Zi Chen, and Zi Chen's body slowly floated up. A powerful pressure enveloped Zi Chen's body. Everyone in the distance wanted to help, but they were stopped by Bumi. "Trust me, you'll only die if you go. Not only will your deaths be worthless, you'll also harm Zi Chen." At this time, Bumi was much more nervous than the others. The young man with the cold expression grinned again. "I still have a lot of toys, I don't really care about you. That's why I'm going to kill you with one strike." The air began to swirl, forming a wind blade in the air that sliced towards Zi Chen. A ripping sound could be heard in the air. Facing such an attack, Zi Chen couldn't dodge at all. Poof! The wind blade brushed past Zi Chen's arm. The young man's smile froze again. The words "two strikes" that were about to come out of his mouth were stopped. A dog came from the horizon, and beside the dog was a cat. A face appeared on a tree not too far away. On top of a tall mountain peak, a figure could be faintly seen. A beautiful woman's head popped out from a small stream. They all looked forward, at the young man in white, or rather at Zi Chen next to him. At this moment, their expressions changed. A white-furred mouse suddenly crawled out from the ground. It first shouted at the cat and dog in a low voice, "What are you looking at? Do you want to die?" Then it looked around. "Do you all want to die? Why aren't you running away? What are you all thinking? Who are you?" Chapter 4679. Everyone was looking in front of them, either shocked or nervous. Zi Chen was trapped by an invisible force, and there was a bloody wound on his shoulder. The young man, who had the power of law, looked at Zi Chen for the first time. "Who are you?" Ever since he gained sentience, he was omnipotent, and no one dared to provoke him. Take Dan Xiong, for example. Even if the Gaduan king came, she might not be afraid. But in front of him, Dan Xiong could only be eaten away. Bit by bit, until she lost the sea of flowers and died. The last time he dealt with a group of rats was a reflection of his daily routine. But today, this human didn't die. Looking at the human's motionless body, it was obvious that he was completely trapped. The young man in white muttered in his heart, "Is this just an accident?" He said again, "I'll kill you with one slash." The air condensed into a wind blade and slashed at Zi Chen again. With a puff, another wound appeared, but it wasn't a severed arm. Severed arm. The young man in white's pupils shrank, and he shouted again. This time, he raised his voice, which meant that he had greater authority. Puff. The blade appeared again, but it didn't cut off Zi Chen's arm. What's going on? The monk and the others were anxious. Zi Chen obviously had no strength to resist. The devil ape was ready to rush forward with its stone staff. "Trust me, don't be rash. You'll die if you go," Bumi hurriedly said. "He can't kill Zi Chen yet, but he can easily kill you. And it won't take much effort. All he has to do is say kill with one slash." Then what do we do? Do we have to watch Zi Chen be tortured to death? The devil ape was anxious. Wait, maybe there's a turning point. No one saw where the turning point was. In front of the strange young man, Zi Chen couldn't resist at all. Even if he couldn't be killed one slash at a time, he would die eventually. In fact, the nervous crowd didn't know what this scene meant to the young man in white. The onlookers knew that even after the white-furred rat's warning, they still didn't retreat. Because this meant that the sky might collapse. The young man in white was enraged. The aura around him began to surge, and an even more complicated and grand formation appeared beneath his feet. Countless rays of light flowed around him, containing different auras. This was the first time he had released his aura. At this moment, the others finally understood who the white-clothed youth was. Different kinds of energy swirled around him, and only the ruler of the world could do this. However, for some reason, this ruler's cultivation level was somewhat low. He was only in the speech realm. "I'm the god of this place. I want you dead," the young man shouted. His words were like the law. Countless power of rules gathered around him, and the rules of heaven and earth began to tremble. It was as if the great Tao had descended, bringing with it an absolute pressure that obliterated Zi Chen's vitality. This was the true power of an overlord, borrowing the power of heaven and earth to kill. As long as one was in this world, one had to abide by the rules of this place. Zi Chen was still trapped in the air, blood gushing out from his wounds. It looked like he was about to die under the nomological Tao. A sudden change occurred. The blue-white flower in front of Su Mengyaro flew forward and landed on the ground. It immediately took root, and then countless flowers grew. It was as if a sea of flowers had spread out from under Zi Chen's feet. The wooden sword in front of Wang Xian also flew to Zi Chen's side, forming a huge forest outside the sea of flowers. The stone rod in the devil ape's hand and the water-repelling pearl that Yi Qian had previously obtained flew into the sky, turning into a mountain peak and a lake. The rules that descended here were resisted by these four things, and could not descend. Or it could be said that these four things had isolated a space, blocking all the laws outside. The suppression of the rules did not appear, and the power that enveloped Zi Chen also disappeared because of the isolation here. Zi Chen landed on the ground, crushing some small flowers. There was a look of shock on the white-clothed youth's face. He looked at the things around him. "No wonder you all became so weak. It turns out that you took out the core item." Su Mengyaro and the others were stunned. They did not expect the opportunity that they had obtained back then to have such a wonderful use. Then, they reacted and understood something. Zi Chen, who had landed on the ground, raised his head and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He also took a look at the domain formed by the four things. Many images flashed through his mind. Perhaps it was an opportunity, or perhaps it was a coincidence. Everyone had gained something. However, it should not be a coincidence that Bumi had brought him to this place and met the youth. Perhaps this was a trap, and he had been led into it step by step. But it did not matter. He looked at the white-clothed youth. "You had something to rely on previously. Now, shall we spar again?" "Good, very good. Although I don't know what's going on with you, human, since you can temporarily block my connection with the rules in this space, you can be considered a character," the white-clothed youth said coldly. "Just as well. I'll kill you today and extinguish their hope forever. Die." The white-clothed youth waved his hand and slashed in the air. Without the law of words, wind blades still condensed in front of Zi Chen. However, this time, without the protection of the rules, the wind blades appeared and were ineffective against him. With a flash of his body, Zi Chen avoided the wind blades and rushed toward the white-clothed youth. The white-clothed youth's pupils shrank. Countless rays of light appeared around his body like tentacles, entangling Zi Chen. Even without his special ability, the youth still had the strength of the speech realm. Obviously, he could not be underestimated. Zi Chen tapped his foot, and several cracks spread out from under his feet. The force of the rebound caused his body to fly into the air for a short time, passing through those tentacles. The tentacles fell in the distance, and like arrows, shot through the ground. Zi Chen, who had landed, threw a punch. This punch was shining with light and contained a powerful force. The youth laughed sarcastically. A ray of light appeared in front of him, and the light turned into a shield. The fist landed on the shield with a rumbling sound. The force of the rebound caused Chen to retreat. The white-clothed youth said sarcastically, "You can't even break through my shield. How can you be my opponent?" He looked up at the things around him again and said to those behind the scenes, "This time, you've miscalculated. After I kill him, it's time to kill you. And the Rat Clan. Today, you'll be extinct." His eyes were cold and filled with boundless killing intent. Everyone related to this must die. These words were clearly spread out, and everyone's expression changed. "Are you done showing off?" "What?" I said, "Are you done showing off?" Chen crossed his hands and cracked his fingers. "If you're done showing off, then I'm going to get serious. As the #1 person in the Saint Spirit realm, even if I'm in a different world, I'm definitely not someone a guy like you can bully." "Are you crazy?" the white-clothed youth said. "You can't even break through my shield, and you still dare to boast. Is that so? Then let's try again." Chen's figure flashed and disappeared from the spot as if he had teleported. In the next moment, he was in front of the white-clothed youth. It was still a punch. All of his power was restrained, and his aura was incomparably heavy. The youth snorted coldly, and the defensive light lit up again. There was a loud bang. Chapter 4680. Previously, Chen did not have the power to fight back because the white-clothed youth's method had the ability to cheat. He had been suppressed because this was caused by the rules. Regarding this feeling, the ruler of the Tianwu world had the most right to speak. It was already a miracle that he did not die. But now, without the suppression of the rules, the other party was just a realm of speech. Even if it was a slightly stronger realm of speech, it was still a realm of speech after all. Since Chen's reputation had gradually risen, he had been fighting above his level, so he did not care about this realm of speech that was slightly higher than him. Because he was Chen, the Chen who had the power of thunder of the Purple Soul Chen technique. After the first simple test, Chen really used his full strength. He broke the defense with one punch. The second punch followed. As the brilliance around his body circulated, the Chen technique provided him with sufficient strength. On the fist, lightning flashed. This was the power of thunder, and it exploded on the youth's body. With a boom, the youth's figure retreated. Chen followed again and attacked again. The power was not heavy, but it made the youth unable to control his body's center of gravity, and he kept retreating. Chen appeared in all directions beside the youth, and various attacks fell. This was the fighting technique. In this world, even if all the Thunder Clan's techniques could not be used, the fighting technique was not a technique. It was a technique that stimulated the physical body, and it could still be used. The battle did not end. Punch after punch fell, accompanied by occasional purple light that entered the youth's sea of consciousness. The purple soul was affecting the youth's mind. The youth kept retreating, no longer as calm as before. When the last punch fell, the youth's body flew out, and he coughed up blood after landing. Everyone watching the battle secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This time, it was really dangerous. Fortunately, Chen had gained the upper hand, which was naturally a good thing for everyone. Chen looked at the youth on the ground with a calm expression, and the power in his body quietly surged. "Do you really think that's all I have?" The youth wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked coldly at Chen. "Then you underestimate me too much. Transform the great Tao of heaven and earth." Countless rays of light flowed out of the youth's body and circulated around him at high speed. The young man's body gradually dissipated and finally disappeared completely. The light of power then scattered, turning into small snakes. The small snakes were colorful and had different auras. They spread out and stared at Chen. Sensing the aura in front of him, Chen's expression changed slightly. The aura of the little snakes was completely different, and he could no longer sense the presence of the young man. Could it be that this was how the young man had appeared? Was he a combination of these little snakes? Chen took a few steps back and distanced himself from the little snakes. They were not simple little snakes. Each of them represented a kind of power. Among them, the most common and powerful ones were the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, as well as the sun, moon, star, and thunder. Each of them was equivalent to a rule. However, at this moment, due to the suppression of the 4 weapons, they were only manifestations of power, unable to merge with the rules of this world. Otherwise, Zichen would have to face the rules of this strange world. Even so, Zichen still felt the pressure. He stepped back again. His expression was guarded. Life or death depends on this. The white-furred mouse, who had not left, also became extremely nervous. Without the help of the rules, the young man in white's means were limited. Perhaps this was his last resort. As long as Zichen could withstand it and break it, victory would be in front of him. "Let's see what you've got." The young man in white's voice sounded, but it was impossible to tell which little snake it was. A thunder snake flew towards Zichen. Lightning flashed, and Zichen could see the sharp teeth in the other party's mouth. Zichen struck out with his palm, fighting the thunder with thunder. With a bang, the thunder snake's body exploded, and the power of thunder spread out. Zichen's hair flew, and his clothes flapped. The thunder snake was not powerful, but it was not weak either. Zichen sensed the front and found that after the thunder snake dissipated, it did not reappear. In his heart, he understood the young man's means. "How is it?" The young man's voice sounded again, but it was still impossible to pinpoint the exact direction. Zichen said, "There's still a chance to win. Since I can remember, you are the only enemy that is so difficult to kill. In order to show my respect to you, I will beat you half to death." The little snakes stared coldly at Zichen. The young man in white's voice came from an unknown place. "Those who are worried about you are your companions, right? I will kill all the men. As for the women, I will keep them and put them together with Dan Xiong, and slowly enjoy them. Don't worry, I will let you live and witness this scene with your own eyes." Zichen took a deep breath and said, "Since you have said so, I already understand your determination. Don't worry, I will fulfill your wish." In Zichen's perception, there was another little snake in front of him. It was the thunder snake that he had scattered before. Zichen's mouth revealed a hint of sarcasm. "You are quite clever. Die." The thunder snake's reappearance was equivalent to the rules being completed. Those little snakes immediately flew towards Zichen. Like a different world's rules, they attacked Zichen. Zichen retreated while the little snakes advanced. Some of them had the speed rules and had already arrived in front of Zichen. Wang. An energy barrier lit up and protected Zichen. "You will die faster this way." The young man's voice was cold. The little snakes surrounded Zichen and began to gnaw at his protection. As far as the eye could see, Zichen was nowhere to be seen. There were only different little snakes. "Even without the rules, I can still imitate the rules and attack. You are just an outsider, how can you resist the rules? Moreover, you are only in the formation realm." The young man was determined to win. Everyone outside the arena became nervous. However, no one could help. Zichen could only rely on himself in this battle. Whether he lived or died, it would depend on Zichen's ability. Countless petals danced around Zichen. Unfortunately, Zichen was not a flower fairy and could not use this power. The petals were swept away by the force and left the flower. The mountain in the sky began to shake, and countless ripples appeared on the lake. The temporary space that was suppressing the young man was about to collapse. Once the space collapsed, Zichen would die without a doubt, and so would the others. Everyone became even more nervous and held their breaths. The white-furred rat trembled and said, "Don't die, or I'll be finished." Once Zichen died, the flaming rat lineage would disappear forever. At this moment, a cracking sound came from the forest. A tree branch suddenly broke. The broken branches did not fall to the ground. Instead, they floated there as if there was a mysterious force guiding them. In the next moment, purple light lit up on these branches. Swoosh! One of the tree branches moved like an arrow and shot forward. Swoosh! Swoosh! More branches moved, whistling through the air as they flew towards the battlefield. When they were about to approach, the branches had more lightning on them, shining abnormally. The little snakes that were devouring Zichen's power seemed to have sensed something. Some of them turned around to check the abnormality. The tree branches approached with a piercing sound, attacking the small snakes indiscriminately. Bang! 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 One after another, the little snakes were stabbed and exploded. There were many little snakes, but there were even more branches. Sounds like firecrackers rang out continuously. Chapter 4681. With the spell broken, the white-clothed youth fell to the ground, his body covered in blood. Zichen's face was pale. That move just now consumed a lot of his energy, but fortunately, he managed to break the opponent's spell. The youth stood up. His expression was extremely ugly, and his anger was difficult to quell. He looked into the distance and coldly said, "You all really have guts," actually daring to help him. He thought that it was an outsider who had helped him. He thought that Zichen would not be able to break through his spell. Zichen sneered, "Is this all you got? You're not as good as him, so you're just looking for an excuse?" As soon as he said that, Zichen rushed forward and hit the youth with his palm. The youth blocked the attack and slid back. Zichen continued to move forward and attacked with the same close-range combat technique. Banging sounds were heard continuously. Under this combination of close-range combat techniques, the blood-stained youth couldn't resist at all. He could only retreat. Zichen was still calm and used one move after another. It seemed that the situation was hopeless. The spectators seemed to see the dawn of victory. "Looks like we made the right bet." Everyone avoided this disaster. The white-furred mouse, who had been extremely nervous, could finally relax. Biyumi, who was standing next to the monk, also said, "All right, the battle is about to end. Everyone is happy. What's going on?" The demonic ape asked. Biyumi shook his head, "I don't know the details, you can ask the ancestor." "I think the ancestor should." He suddenly stopped here. Something happened in front of him. It was the white-clothed youth who had been passively taking a beating. A flash of light appeared next to him. Zichen changed from attacking to defending to retreating very quickly. Several meters away, Zichen looked down at his abdomen. There was a deep wound there. The youth was smiling, revealing his bloody teeth. His smile was cold. "You're still alive. Looks like you're more alert than I thought." The youth held a short sword in his hand. The blade was extremely thin and looked simple, but Zichen had already seen its sharpness. Zichen thought that his body wasn't weak, but it couldn't withstand a single blow from this sword. The young man had been patiently waiting for this attack, but unfortunately, it didn't succeed. "Since you've dodged my attack, I'll show you my true strength." Rays of light flowed out from the young man's palm and gathered towards the short sword. As the countless rays of light lingered, the blade of the short sword became misty. Kai sounds rang out. That was the sound of the aura overflowing from the sword cutting through the air. Under Purple Soul's perception, the short sword seemed to have merged with the surrounding space. It appeared in his field of vision, but it disappeared from his perception. At the same time, a strong sense of danger emerged in Zichen's heart. He knew that the dagger was threatening his life. 99 streams of energy circulated, but they were much dimmer than before. Zichen had consumed a lot of energy from the battle. Zichen didn't dare to be careless. He took a deep breath and looked coldly at the young man. It was a matter of life and death. "Die." The young man rushed forward, his eyes cold. The aura of the short sword in his hand became stronger, and in his perception, the short sword seemed to have disappeared. The young man stabbed out with his sword, and Zichen dodged to the side. His palm hit the young man squarely. His other palm hit out like lightning, knocking the weapon out of the young man's hand. The two palms were executed smoothly, as if they had practiced countless times. One palm hit the young man, and the other hit the weapon out of his hand. Then, Zichen immediately moved forward, still using his fighting skills. The young man kept retreating, as if the situation was the same as before. The young man, who kept retreating, suddenly laughed. After taking Zichen's palm, he said, "Goodbye." Zichen had a bad feeling and instinctively dodged. With a puff, the short sword that had sent Zichen flying previously pierced his back and flew out of his chest. Zichen's body trembled, and then he stood there motionless. The surging light of energy was quickly dissipating. "No!" Su Mengyaro exclaimed and was about to rush forward. The others couldn't stay calm and rushed towards Zi Chen. Yumi wanted to stop everyone, but he knew that he couldn't because Zi Chen had suffered a fatal injury. At this moment, a white-furred rat descended from the sky. It was the head realm cultivator. Don't be rash. Let's wait and see. Zi Chen is about to die. How can we wait and see? Monk was so angry that he wanted to curse. At this moment, our lives are tied to Zi Chen's. If Zi Chen dies, no one will be able to survive. What you can do now is cheer for Zi Chen, the white-furred rat said in a deep voice. He's about to die. How can we cheer for him? Everyone was furious. Right now, the laws of heaven and earth are in a state of isolation. Although Zi Chen has suffered a fatal injury, his vitality hasn't completely dissipated. As long as Zi Chen doesn't collapse, there's a chance for things to turn around. Hearing the white-furred rat's words, everyone realized that Zi Chen, who had suffered a fatal blow, hadn't collapsed. He was still alive. Perhaps it was as the white-furred rat had said. In that sealed space, the speed of leveling up was slower. The short sword flew back into the white-robed youth's hand. He grabbed the short sword again and looked at Zi Chen mockingly. How do you feel now? Sensing the loss of his life, Zi Chen slowly stretched out his hand and said the word die with difficulty. The youth laughed proudly. That's right. You're going to die soon. Haha, the laughter suddenly stopped. A surge of energy suddenly surged out of the youth's body. This energy forcefully destroyed the youth's vitality and destroyed his soul. The youth spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood was accompanied by fragments of his internal organs. The youth fell to the ground. The reversal of the battle caused everyone to be stunned. They didn't understand what was going on. The young man clearly had the upper hand, so why did he fall? It was Zi Chen's previous attack. There should be waves of inner strength that entered his body and exploded at the last moment. The white-furred rat said, if that's the case, first. Laughter interrupted the white-furred rat's words. The white-robed youth, who had fallen to the ground, stood up again. You're not dead. Zi Chen's expression changed. The white-robed youth said sarcastically, you're not dead even after suffering such serious injuries. How can I die? What a pity. If I had suffered such injuries in the outside world, I would definitely have died. But the laws of this space are isolated. When it helped you survive, it also helped me. The white-robed youth picked up the short sword. So, the one who's going to die in the end is actually still you. The youth rushed forward again. This time, he was confident that he could kill Zi Chen. Feeling his life slipping away, Zi Chen sighed. Then, he reached out his hand and took out something. It was a thunder seed. The thunder tree had given him a lot of them. Zi Chen had also used a lot of them. In the end, he was reluctant to use the remaining 3. Now that death was approaching, he wouldn't have a chance to use it. The thunder seed took root, sprouted, and grew. In an instant, it turned into a towering tree. A powerful aura surged out and sent Zi Chen, who was nearby, flying away. Zi Chen flew through the sea of flowers and smashed into the forest. Looking ahead, the thunder tree was like a demon, attacking the youth. The branches with thunder extended like spears and shot towards the youth. The youth tried his best to resist, but there were too many branches. He was seriously injured and could barely resist. Sure enough, it can attack. Zi Chen's life was still slipping away, but looking at the scene in front of him, he was confident that he would die after the youth. Such an unforeseen event shocked everyone. They looked at the lightning tree that suddenly appeared and continuously attacked the white-robed young man. Puff! A branch pierced through the youth's shoulder armor, leaving a hole in his white robe. The youth was hit and staggered back a few steps. Just then, a branch moved forward quickly and wrapped around the youth's feet like a snake. It kept moving upward, trying to trap the youth. Seeing that the situation was bad, the youth immediately scattered and turned into a large snake. The thunder tree didn't need anyone to command it. It seemed to have a strong battle awareness. Just as the youth was trying to escape, countless branches turned into spears and rained down. One by one, the small snakes exploded and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The white-robed youth was covered in blood and fell to the ground, dying. The branches extended again and wrapped around the youth. Then, the youth was lifted up. Like a soldier holding a spear, Lei Shu attacked again in the next moment. The youth's white robe had more than a dozen holes. The white-robed youth was suspended in the air with branches sticking out of his body. The youth looked at the thunder tree in front of him and said, "What is this thing?" Zi Chen, who was barely standing, said, "It's to save your life." The youth looked ahead. The sea of flowers was a mess, and the forest was destroyed beyond recognition. He looked up at the sky. There were mountains and lakes. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. "I was tricked by you." Finally, he stared at Zi Chen. Zi Chen couldn't hold on anymore and fell to the ground. The youth suddenly roared, "I don't want to. I don't want to." His body started to dissipate. This time, he didn't use any technique. His life was coming to an end. After his body completely dissipated, a bright white light appeared in this space. Boom! This isolated space also collapsed. Everyone in the distance was still in a daze. They didn't expect things to take such a turn. They also didn't expect the battle to end so quickly. The white-robed youth was dead. But what about Zi Chen? What was his situation? After all, the sealed space disappeared and the laws of heaven and earth returned. Zi Chen, who had already suffered a fatal blow, might die instantly under the laws. Everyone immediately rushed forward and rushed toward Zi Chen. This time, neither the white-haired rat nor Bumi stopped them. P.S. The snow damaged the circuit. It took a whole day to repair it. This is what I wrote on my phone. If you call back tomorrow, I will edit it again. Chapter 4682. Everyone in the distance was in a daze. They didn't expect the battle to end so quickly. After all, they were still worried about Zi Chen's life. The next moment, the battle situation changed. The boy in white was dead, but what about Zi Chen? What was his situation? The sealed space disappeared, and the laws of heaven and earth descended again, enveloping this place. Zi Chen, who had suffered a fatal blow, would die immediately under the laws. Everyone immediately rushed forward, rushing toward Zi Chen. This time, neither the white-haired rat nor Bumi stopped them, because there was no need. Faint Fragrance and the others didn't leave before, and now that the battle was over, they still didn't leave, but waited. Zi Chen's situation wasn't good, and he was even in a state of suspended animation. Su Mengyaro and the others approached, and after seeing Zi Chen's current state, they began to wipe their tears, and some even shouted for him to wake up. At this moment, the white light that had been hovering here since the boy's death suddenly swept past everyone and entered Zi Chen's body. Not good. Seeing this scene, Tyrant's expression changed abruptly. Subconsciously, he wanted to slap Zi Chen, who was lying on the ground, to shake out the white light that had entered his body. Stop, that's the source of the laws. Faint Fragrance arrived in time and stopped Tyrant. The white light entered Zi Chen's body, and Zi Chen's originally lost vitality began to recover. Zi Chen, who was in a state of suspended animation, regained his vitality. Everyone who was crying was pleasantly surprised. Zi Chen's body shone with a mysterious white light, and his originally almost imperceptible breathing gradually became stable, as if he was sleeping. His original injuries were also recovering. This is a good thing for Zi Chen. That white light might bring him an unexpected harvest. Faint Fragrance looked at everyone and said. The lingering white light gradually converged, and it was unknown if it had merged with Zi Chen. The light of energy between heaven and earth suddenly converged toward Zi Chen. This was the power of vitality, and with the replenishment of this vitality, it would be difficult for Zi Chen to die even if he wanted to. Everyone laughed through their tears and began to cheer. Tree and the others finally felt relieved. Things were developing in a good direction. Judging from the current situation, it was even better than expected. Now that the young man was dead, they were no longer a threat. At the same time, Gideon's plan was ruined. While everyone was cheering, the monk quietly retreated. When no one was paying attention, he picked up the short sword and hid it. After that, he pretended as if nothing had happened and looked around for traces of battle. The 4 weapons that had sealed the space earlier returned to their respective hands after they collapsed. Their luster had dimmed a little, but their quality was not damaged. When Tyrant returned to the group, there was a hint of delight in his eyes. He had already obtained the short sword. At this moment, a powerful aura suddenly surged out from Zichen's body. The surrounding power of heaven and earth gathered towards Zichen once again. This time, it wasn't just the life force, but also all sorts of powers. If one took a closer look, this power was exactly the same as the power of the young man's Tao actualization. This energy flowed into Zichen's body, and the unconscious Zichen released his aura. This was an aura that surpassed the formation realm. A huge light array appeared under Zichen's feet. The 99 powers that were originally surrounding his body were all withdrawn. The speech realm. Zichen actually broke through at this moment. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. Tyrant muttered, "That works too?" He scratched his head and muttered again, "That's good too. At least he got some benefits. Everyone is doing well." After the light on Zichen's body disappeared, everyone noticed that a white robe had appeared on Zichen's body. This robe was bright and new, and it fit Zichen perfectly. At first glance, one would think that the white-robed young man had come back to life. What's going on? Tyrant strode forward from behind and stared at Zichen carefully. The devil ape held a long staff and pointed it at Zichen. The others were also on guard. Was this person really Zichen? Asterisk 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 Zichen's consciousness was blurry. He vaguely sensed a summoning force calling to his soul and guiding him in a certain direction. However, in Zichen's subconscious, he did not want to go there. That summoning force seemed to be unusual, and Zichen was gradually unable to resist. Just as he was about to reach that mysterious place, a white light suddenly descended from the sky. Zichen felt a surge of vitality enter his body, and that place was getting farther and farther away from him. The summoning force that he could not resist had disappeared at some point. After the life force, even more heaven and earth power entered his body and became a part of it. Zichen's consciousness began to recover, and he opened his eyes. At first glance, he saw everyone's wary eyes, and several weapons were pointed at him as if they were facing a great enemy. What is this? Zichen's eyes were filled with confusion. Who are you? The devil ape asked. The others were extremely nervous, worried that Zichen was not Zichen. Don't make trouble. Zichen got up and looked around. What happened? It was still Zichen's voice, which made everyone feel a little relieved. However, no one could guarantee that it was not that dangerous guy who did it on purpose. You don't know what happened, so stop pretending, the monk said indifferently. Quickly show yourself, and I will spare your life. Zichen did not know what the monk was up to. He is Zichen. If it was not for Zichen, we would not have survived, Pale Fragrance said. Zichen did not understand what Pale Fragrance meant, but when he lowered his head, he realized that he was wearing a white robe. He seemed to understand the source of everyone's vigilance, and asked doubtfully, "What's going on?" He looked at Pale Fragrance. At this moment, only she could explain this. Carefully sense your body and see if there is anything different. Pale Fragrance did not answer, but asked instead. Zichen closed his eyes and began to sense the changes in his body. The first was his realm. He said in surprise, "I broke through?" Pale Fragrance said, "It's not just this change." Zichen continued to sense and soon found something strange. After trying to sense these abnormalities, his face revealed a look of shock. How is this possible? Zichen cried out in surprise. You killed him, so naturally, you can get everything from him. Pale Fragrance smiled and said, "Congratulations. From now on, you are the guardian of this place." The others understood Pale Fragrance's meaning, and they all stared at Zichen in disbelief. The monk asked anxiously, "So, you can already control the rules here? You can use the rules to fight?" Zichen looked at the monk and said jokingly, "I don't know if I can use the rules to fight, but I know one thing." "What?" the monk asked. "Take back what belongs to me." Zichen stretched out his hand, and a light flashed in his palm. The short sword hidden behind the monk immediately flew towards Zichen. "This is mine." When the monk saw the short sword, he became anxious and wanted to block the short sword's path. However, The short sword suddenly disappeared and returned to Zichen's hand. Don't worry about it. This isn't something you can take. This was the weapon that the white-clothed young man refined. It used a part of the rules here and could be considered a natal item. When Zichen noticed the abnormality in his body, he also sensed the short sword's existence. The monk muttered a few words, and even though he was unwilling, he could only accept his fate. The white-furred mouse and Bumi walked over. The latter was shocked, as if he didn't expect Zichen to be able to reach this step. The former smiled and said, "Congratulations, congratulations." Zichen glanced at the white-furred mouse and didn't immediately pursue the matter. Even if he knew that this was a trap. He first cupped his fists in 3 directions, and the 3 existences left. Pale fragrance nodded at Zichen and disappeared. In Zichen's perception, pale fragrance appeared in the sea of flowers. After this incident, the sea of flowers had become riddled with holes. It would probably take a long time to restore it to its former state. Zichen could completely sense that the key reason for this scene was that the sea of flowers was missing its core. It should be the flower that Su Mengyaro obtained. Fortunately, the threat was now resolved. After killing the white-clothed young man, Zichen obtained the young man's ability and naturally mastered the method to devour the sea of flowers. Not only the sea of flowers, but also the forest, the mountain, and the lake. However, he obviously wouldn't do that. Just as Zichen was slightly distracted, suddenly, there was an abnormality beside Zichen. It was Su Mengyaro. She broke through from the array realm to the speech realm without any warning. One had to know that she had been stuck at this bottleneck for a long time. During this period, everyone had thought of many methods to break through, but none of them had been able to. Unexpectedly, after Zichen's breakthrough, Su Mengyaro also broke through. It's your breakthrough that triggered the rules of this place. The humans who stay here from now on shouldn't have any bottlenecks in the speech realm. The white-furred mouse gave such an answer. After it said that, the others immediately sensed their bottlenecks and found that they had indeed loosened a little. Zichen said with some surprise, "Because of me, everyone's bottlenecks no longer exist." "That's right." The white-furred mouse nodded and said, "Because you killed the Tao Protector and replaced his position. As you grow, the bottlenecks of you humans will also loosen. If you can reach the head realm, as long as the others are talented enough, I believe they can also reach it." Zichen didn't expect this to be the case. "Let's talk as we walk." "All right." Everyone began to turn back. Since everyone had the possibility of breaking through, it was relatively safe to stay in the periphery to break through. Besides, Zichen also had some doubts in his heart. On the way back, the white-furred mouse took the initiative to explain, "Actually, the reason why we saved you was because we received some instructions. Without these instructions, we wouldn't dare to act on our own. Gaduan is the king here, and Ge Song is equivalent to an existence below the king. We don't dare to go against him at all. Today's situation was facilitated by us. Because the instructions indicated that only you could complete it, we vowed to protect you with our lives and then gave a certain opportunity to the people around you to suppress the Tao Protector at the critical moment." Chapter 4683. The white-haired rat always mentioned the word command, which made Zichen very curious, so he asked where the command came from. The white-haired rat shook its head and said it can't say. It can't say, but it doesn't mean it doesn't know, which is very interesting. If he remembered correctly, there were also the leaders of the Speed Shadow Cat and the Sharp Blade Dog among the spectators. Zichen seemed to have guessed something. "You have to be careful next." The white-haired rat glanced at Zichen and said, "You killed the Protector and became the new Protector, so the same scene may happen again." Zichen said, "Do you think they can kill me?" "It's hard to say." The white-haired rat said, "Because your identity is still human, so the powerful existences living here will hardly avoid it. No matter what, it's always right to be careful." After a pause, the white-haired rat said again, "After you killed the Protector, your conflict with this world is no longer limited to Ge Song, but you have become Gaduan." "Gaduan King?" Zichen was surprised. "What grudge do I have with him?" Rumor has it that the Protector was created by Gaduan King. He allowed the Protector to plunder and grow because he wanted to use the law of the Protector to leave. Now that the source of the law is in your hands, you can imagine. Hearing what the white-haired rat said, Zichen's face couldn't help but change. So, won't Geduin King come out to find me in person? The white-haired rat was happy when he heard it. It's not that exaggerated, he has a lot of powerhouses under him, so it's impossible for him to come out in person. If Geduin King really comes out, then you go to those 4 places to hide, maybe you can survive. Zichen of course knew which 4 places it was, but he was puzzled. Even the protector of the Yang state can restrain them, can't Geduin King? That's not the same, you will slowly understand. Both sides returned to their original residence again. Bumi stayed to entertain everyone, and he was more attentive than before. The white-haired rat said goodbye and left. After leaving, he went to find the cat and dog. After seeing the white-haired rat, both were very excited. Did you see that? This is a miracle. The white-furred rat said confidently, and now, this is only the first miracle. Just wait and see. In the future, there will be countless miracles until we reach the final miracle. If it was before, they wouldn't have believed it. However, Zichen had killed the guardian, so the possibility of this happening was very high. The speedy cat asked, "What do we need to do next?" The white-haired rat shook his head and said, "I don't know. Let's take one step at a time and wait for new orders. My lord, bad news. Ge Song arrived outside the castle and anxiously shouted. What happened? Why are you so flustered? Geduin King walked out of the castle. My lord, the protector has been killed. Ge Song's voice was filled with panic. Geduin King had clearly instructed him to take care of the Tao protector. And now, this existence was actually dead. Ge Dun's expression changed slightly. Dead? Who here could kill a Tao protector? Have other kings overstepped their boundaries? No, it's a human. Ge Song said in fear and trepidation. That human is called Zichen. He killed the Tao protector. Not only that, but he also took away the Tao protector's power. Ge Song told him everything he had found out. Ge Dun frowned at first, but his expression gradually calmed down. In the end, his expression became even more indifferent. It seems that our plan back then has borne fruit. Since the human can obtain the Tao protector's origin of laws, then our plan may also succeed. Ge Dun looked at the nervous Ge Song. This isn't your fault. Don't be so nervous. Even if you want to blame someone, it's those guys outside. It seems that if we don't teach them a lesson, they really won't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Ge Song's hanging heart finally relaxed after hearing that he was innocent. He immediately asked, My lord, do you want to go out personally? Ge Dun waved his hand and said, There's no hurry to kill them. Even if we go out and kill them now, it's meaningless. Ge Song asked again, then, about the matter of the Tao protector. Ge Dun said, Spread the news that if you kill the Tao protector, you can become the new Tao protector. Ge Song's expression changed slightly. If that's the case, I'm afraid there'll be chaos here. So be it. Anyway, everything here can't be taken away in the future. Ge Dun didn't seem to care. He quickly asked, Have you found the murderer? Not yet. Keep looking. Also, tell Deng Li and Koken to be careful. Don't go out alone for the time being. Once you find traces of the murderer, remember to inform me immediately. Yes. Ge Dun watched Ge Dun enter the castle again, while Ge Song collapsed on the ground. When he arrived, he was already prepared for the worst. He didn't expect that Ge Dun didn't blame him. It was equivalent to Ge Song surviving a disaster. He turned around and walked away. Under his deliberate dissemination of the news of Zichen's new identity as a Tao protector gradually spread. Not only did all the animals in the Yang realm know about it, but those in the Head realm also knew everything. Even the human outsiders also knew about Zichen's new identity. A Tao protector, the origin of the natural order. When Mo Zhengtian heard the news, his face was very gloomy. Why did Zichen get all these good things? Mo Yizhen stood at the side, somewhat unhappy. Mo Di said, the news said that if we can kill Zichen, then the identity of a Dao protector can be exchanged. Once we become a Dao protector, we can control the natural order of this world. Mo Yang Dan's were smiled bitterly. But how can we kill him? It's said that we were able to break through to the Yang realm because Zi Chen became a Dao protector. I don't even need to think to know how difficult it is to kill such an existence. But how did Zi Chen succeed in the first place? Mo Di was somewhat unwilling to admit defeat. If Zi Chen can succeed, why can't we? Mo Yizhen suddenly became spirited. Indeed, if Zi Chen can succeed, it's not necessarily impossible for us to succeed. As long as we find the right method, it's just a matter of replicating it again. Mo Yizhen walked away. Mo Zhengtian asked, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to ask Zi Chen what method he used to succeed." Mo Yizhen said without turning his head. "Do you think he'll tell us?" Mo Zhengtian was very surprised. "Of course Zi Chen won't, but others will." Mo Yizhen smiled. "I believe that in this world, there are definitely many people who want to kill Zi Chen. As for the secret of Zi Chen's success, there must be someone who knows." Suddenly, Mo Yizhen stopped. He turned to look at Mo Zhengtian. Perhaps the owner of that saber knows. There was a long black saber beside Mo Zhengtian. Chapter 4684. This saber was called Black Sky, and it was one of the opportunities they had obtained after coming here. The name was given by Mo Zhengtian, and it overlapped with his own name. Mo Zhengtian treasured this saber very much. The others also saw the saber. Mo Di and Mo Yang's expressions changed slightly. It was said that opportunities were obtained by the fated. This black saber came from a black mountain, and the one who was truly fated was Mo Yizhen. After obtaining this opportunity, he gave the saber to Mo Zhengtian. At that time, Mo Yizhen had used this excuse. "I'm not good at using sabers. Although this saber is extraordinary, it's equivalent to gathering dust in my hands. If you don't mind, please accept this saber and let it unleash its full power." Mo Zhengtian had declined righteously, but in the end, Mo Yizhen had made up his mind, and Mo Zhengtian had no choice but to accept it. Mo Zhengtian's eyes lit up as he thought of the mountain god who had given Mo Yizhen the black saber. "Let's go and take a look." He grabbed the black saber and signaled for everyone to follow. This group of dozens of people walked toward the black mountain. Asterisk 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 on the towering black mountain stood a black-robed man. After Mo Yizhen and the others arrived, he took the initiative to appear. He glanced at everyone, and his gaze finally fell on the saber. The saber was not in the hands of the human he had thought highly of. Mo Yizhen took a few steps forward and bowed. "Greetings, sir. I have some questions to ask you." "Speak." "Sir, do you know the Guardian?" "Yes." "Then, have you heard of Zi Chen?" "I've only heard of him recently." "Tell me why you're here." Mo Yizhen bowed again. "We want to deal with Zi Chen. I hope you can show us the way." The black-robed man shook his head. "You don't have many fated items. It's impossible to succeed." Mo Yizhen reacted quickly. "Are the so-called fated items obtained here by chance?" "That's right." The black-robed man extended 4 fingers. "Last time, Zi Chen was able to kill the Guardian because he used 4 fated items to seal the rules. If you want similar items, you need to find at least 4 of them." For everyone, this was indeed a clear path. Mo Yi did not expect that the news would be so easily obtained. At this moment, the black-robed man continued, "At the critical moment, I can lend you a hand. But before that, you must gather the 4 fated items." To put it bluntly, he was looking for an ally. Mo Yi nodded. After saying goodbye and leaving, Mo Yi Yang worriedly said, "You can kill Zi Chen like this?" Mo Yi shook her head. "No one knows what the future holds, but this is at least a chance." "That's right. Such opportunities are hard to come by." Mo Zhengtian asked, "Do you have a good plan?" Mo Di and Mo Yang Dan's were also looked at Mo Yi, trembling. Mo Yi thought for a moment and said, "Actually, the most important thing now isn't to find the fated item, but to let everyone break through to the speech realm as soon as possible. Only when one's cultivation level was high would one have a greater say when searching for the fated item." Even. His words suddenly stopped, as if he was trying to keep them in suspense. Mo Zhengtian was somewhat displeased and said, "If you have something to say, just say it. Don't tell me there are outsiders here. Why are you hemming and hawing?" Mo Yi-yang cupped her fists and said, "It's not that I want to show off, but it's not appropriate. If we want to find the fated item, it will definitely involve some benefits. For example, if we succeed in killing Zi Chen, which of the 4 people with the fated item will become the guardian? If the benefits are not distributed properly, it might benefit others. So, instead of looking for the fated item, it's better to snatch it." A cold killing intent flashed in Mo Yiyang's eyes. Once all the fated items are in our hands, there will naturally be no problem of distribution. So, I suggest that everyone break through to the speech realm first. As for the guardian and the fated item, we can talk about it after we break through. Perhaps during this period, there will be many people who will first find Zi Chen to spar with. This way, we can also understand Zi Chen's battle strength. What if they succeed? Mo Yangdan's were asked subconsciously. Mo Yi-yang smiled and said, "That would be great. It saves us the trouble of doing it." Once the news about Zi Chen spread, the flame rats brought the news back to the city. The others were filled with righteous indignation. The news was leaked too quickly. Zi Chen was relatively calm. Such a day would come sooner or later. It was just that those people wanted to kill him and snatch the origin of the laws. This was not easy. After all, with Zi Chen's battle strength, he had to rely on the lightning seed to kill the white-clothed youth. Biyumi looked at the silent Zi Chen and said, "Sir, you still have to be careful. After all, the white-clothed youth died in your hands after being suppressed." Zi Chen understood Bumi's reminder. The situation of being suppressed last time might happen again in the future. "What about the head realm?" Zi Chen asked. "Will they also attack me?" Biyumi shook his head and said, "I'm not too sure about this. They probably won't." As long as the head realm didn't attack, Zi Chen still had great confidence in dealing with those speech realm experts. "Is this place safe?" Zi Chen suddenly asked. "You shouldn't be able to find beasts. As for humans, it's hard to say. Beasts had their own territories and would restrict each other. On the other hand, humans didn't and could go anywhere. Well, those who haven't broken through, stay here. Those who have, come with me for a walk outside." After reaching the speech realm, Zi Chen had room for improvement. Naturally, he needed some inner cause to supplement this. Therefore, Zi Chen planned to go outside and kill some speech realm beasts. The first to break through were the 4 people who obtained the fate items. The others were still in the formation realm. Biyumi took Zi Chen and the others and left to find speech realm beasts to fight. During this time, Biyumi deliberately took the 5 people outside the territory of faint fragrance and the others to prevent accidents from happening. When the 5 of them fought against speech realm beasts, each of them had the ability to kill them alone. Zi Chen. One day, Zi Chen, who had just finished hunting, suddenly heard a loud shout. When he turned around, he saw a group of people appear in his field of vision. It was none other than Leizheng Hongtian. It seems that enemies are destined to meet. Leizheng Hongtian smiled coldly. "Since you've met me today, you'll die." Zi Chen looked at Leizheng Hongtian. There were 8 people beside him. 4 of them were in the speech realm, while the rest were in the formation realm. Leizheng Hongtian himself was in the formation realm. Zi Chen touched his chin and said, "You took the initiative to come forward and die. Interesting. No, you're already in the speech realm." Chapter 4685. Leizheng Hongtian's reaction seemed to be a little slow. At this time, they were not far from Zi Chen. How could they run away? But they turned around and ran, without the slightest courage to fight. The demon ape was stunned, not knowing what the guy was doing. Zi Chen smiled. They were not far away, but he did not chase. Leizheng Hongtian ran and looked back, shouting, "Run, Zi Chen is catching up." "What's the situation?" The demon ape frowned. "My lord, be careful." Biyumi warned. Zi Chen smiled. "Don't worry about them. Where is the next Yang realm?" "My lord, please come with me." With countless fire rats as his eyes and ears, Zichen could easily know the specific location of the Yang realm and then go to kill it. Biyumi deliberately led Zichen closer to the lake. During this time, the fire rats passed through the ground and followed Lei Jing Hongtian. My lord, they didn't catch up. After running for a while, there was no one behind them. Lei Jing Hongtian stopped, his face a little ugly. Were we exposed? The others shook their heads, indicating that they did not know. It shouldn't be. Lei Jing Hongtian was puzzled. According to my understanding of Zichen, he should hate me to the bone. Now that I suddenly appeared, and there are so few of us, he should rush to deal with me. Could it be, my acting is not good enough, and I didn't act out the feeling of panic? The others shook their heads again. Lei Jing Hongtian's face changed. Could it be that your acting is not good enough and you were exposed? No, our acting is very good. We were never exposed. The others assured one after another. Well, in that case, let's go again. Lei Jing Hongtian continued to chase in the direction of Zichen. This time, he did not immediately shout to attract attention. Instead, he got closer to Zichen, and Zichen was staring at them. Only then did they react and run away in panic. Are they King retarded? The demon ape saw this scene and could not help but curse. If the previous encounter could be said to be a coincidence, this time it was too fake. This is your enemy. Is that all he has? Zichen didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said, when it comes to scheming, no one can beat him. The reason for today's situation should be that there is no one around him that he can use, and he himself is not good at acting, not to mention such a show that is obviously full of loopholes. Perhaps, it's not that his acting isn't good, it's that the script he directed isn't good. Zichen glanced at Bumi and said, let's go a bit further and take them out in one go. Although this guy is not a threat, he is very disgusting. Killing him this time can be considered as revenge for those who died because of him. The few of them sped up their departure. Lei Jing Hongtian saw that no one was chasing after them, so he had no choice but to continue forward. Just like that, it appeared 4 times in front of Zichen. By the 4th time, the distance between the two sides had gotten even closer. Before Lei Jing Hongtian could make a panicked expression, the little blue and white flower in front of Su Mengyaro flew out. They looked up and saw the little flower. He didn't know what happened next. The devil ape and Wang Xian attacked from both sides. Zichen also came in front of one of the Yang state cultivators and took his life. Ah, Zichen, it's you. Run. Lei Jing Hongtian shouted exaggeratedly and turned around to escape. However, after turning around, he saw Zichen standing in front of him. As for his original companions, they had all fallen to the ground. You, Lei Jing Hongtian looked at Zichen in disbelief. Zichen was still far away a moment ago. How did he suddenly appear in front of him? The next moment, Lei Jing Hongtian understood. He looked at Su Mengyaro, who was next to him. It was the flower that made him fall into a momentary illusion. B*TCH, it's you. Hey, you don't have to be in such a hurry to die. Let me ask you something. Which idiot gave you the idea? Zichen patted Lei Jing Hongtian's shoulder. Don't even think about it. Lei Jing Hongtian said stubbornly, I won't say it even if I die. Zichen smiled and said, if you don't say it, don't you think you'll lose out? Think about it, if that idiot came up with a stupid idea and killed you, and you were loyal enough to not betray him, what if he really succeeded and killed me, and when he obtained the origin of the laws, he scolded you for being a useless piece of trash? I wonder how you would feel in your heart. Lei Jing Hongtian's expression was still cold, but his eyes began to change. I know you hate me to the core and want me dead. I also want to kill you, but I didn't die in your hands. Are you willing? I was killed by someone else, but the credit and benefits are also someone else's. You were just used as a chess piece. Are you willing? A wooden sword pierced Lei Jing Hongtian's chest. Lei Jing Hongtian's eyes widened as he looked at Zichen in disbelief. The wooden sword was pulled out, and Lei Jing Hongtian fell. He said everything in just a few words. If he's not an idiot, then what is? Devil Ape said with some disdain. He thought that I said those words to let him live. I didn't expect him to die in the end. Zichen said nonchalantly. He didn't mind killing such a guy. Otherwise, it would be really disgusting to disgust people. Shen Xiao Yuan. Zichen's eyes flashed with a touch of coldness. When I was in the spiritual world, I didn't have much contact with the god race. I didn't expect that in this different world, the god race's monsters would pop out. Well, let's go meet him. Before dying, Leijing Hongtian said everything, including that god race member called Shen Xiao Yuan. All of this was arranged by the other party. As for why Leijing Hongtian obeyed him, in addition to the heavy losses he brought, another reason was because the other party saved Leijing Hongtian. Leijing Hongtian was certainly not a person who knew how to repay kindness. Unfortunately, the other party was too strong. In the absence of other people, Leijing Hongtian had no choice but to repay kindness. The future heir of the dignified Holy Thunder clan, the Leijing family, was so aggrieved. Perhaps this was the reason why he could speak so happily. Knowing the truth, Zichen decided to find the existence called Shen Xiao Yuan. Didn't the other party want to scheme against him? He would take the initiative to go up. As for the location of Shen Xiao Yuan, Zichen knew it through the flame rats at the first time. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In a rocky beach, 3 people sat bored. The young man in the lead had a withered grass in his mouth. He was Shen Xiao Yuan. The 2 god race members beside him looked into the distance from time to time. They sat upright, seemingly bored, but in fact, their bodies were in a state of alert, ready to attack at any time with their strongest posture. Around the rocky beach, there were some inconspicuous small holes, and from time to time, small beasts would run through. Shen Xiao Yuan spat out the withered grass in his hand. The withered grass was like an arrow, shooting through a big stone. A rabbit behind the big stone had its head pierced. That idiot, why hasn't he come yet? He got up and walked towards the dead prey. Chapter 4686. A flame rat quietly poked its head out and glanced at the rocky beach. It seemed to be looking for food and was very vigilant. Not far away, there was a heavy and oppressive aura. It turned its head and saw that they were all humans. It was so scared that it quickly drilled into the ground. Zichen walked over from the distance, followed by Demon Ape and the others. Bumi stayed in the distance. He didn't go back to find help, but brought 4 people here. But in the words of this world, the 4 of them were fated to be here, and their combat strength was not weak at all. Shen Xiao Yuan's expression changed slightly as he stared ahead. The 2 next to him immediately stood up and stared at Zichen warily. A huge light array appeared under each of their feet. Clearly, they were 2 Yang realms. Shen Xiao Yuan waved his hand and said, "Don't be nervous, it's just 5 people." He said to Zichen in front of him, "Where's Leijing Hongtian?" "He's dead," Zichen said. "Isn't that what you want?" Shen Xiao Yuan smiled. "That idiot, it's better that he's dead. He helped me do something. So, you don't care if that plan succeeds or not. You just want to lure me here, right?" Zichen looked at Shen Xiao Yuan. "That's right. Only a fool like Leijing Hongtian would think that such a method would ensure his safety while also luring you over." It turned out that Shen Xiao Yuan's plan was not simple. He didn't care about Leijing Hongtian's life or death at all. He only wanted Zichen to come. "Now that I'm here, what?" Zichen continued to walk forward. "Then you can stay here forever." Shen Xiao Yuan clapped his hands. Immediately, there was the sound of footsteps around the pile of rocks, followed by rising smoke and dust. One by one, the existences hidden in the dark appeared. In 3 directions around Zichen, the figures of the Protoss appeared. Zichen was not surprised by their appearance. Bumi had already told him about the deployment here. He glanced at the Protoss around him. Through rule perception, Zichen could see the realms of these people at a glance. He said with some surprise, "The number of Yang realms is as high as half. It seems that you've recruited a lot of elites." Shen Xiao Yuan said, "It's SOSO. The Devil Ape and the other 3 spread out, protecting Zichen in the middle." Zichen said helplessly, "I say, you don't have to do this. You're not my subordinates. You don't have to protect me like this. When the four of them heard this, they once again stood side by side, but they were also on guard against each other. Zichen continued, but don't you think this is too abrupt? Wouldn't it be better if everyone advanced to the speech realm? Shen Xiao Yuan gave Zichen a thumbs up and said, you're right. That's what I thought before. It would be safer that way. But you, Zichen, are really too hateful. You have enemies everywhere you go. You can afford to delay, but I can't. Who knows if someone won't be able to hold themselves back and attack you in advance? If you really die in the hands of others and the origin of laws is obtained by others, who do you think I will cry to? Zichen nodded and said, in that case, it makes some sense, but you also have to bear a greater risk. Because if you can't kill me immediately, then others will hear the news and come to snatch your victory. I've already thought about the consequences, so we have to end this quickly. Shen Xiao Yuan waved his hand, and everyone immediately attacked Zichen. This was a siege tactic. Looking at them rushing forward, Zichen said, you all know that I have the origin of laws, then do you really know how to use it? After killing you, I will naturally know. Shen Xiao Yuan, who was standing in the distance, said, you don't have to kill me, you will also know. The corner of Zichen's mouth was still smiling, but his eyes were gradually turning cold. Zichen stretched out his hands and made a gesture of gathering qi in his dantian. In the next moment, Zichen slapped out with both of his palms, causing ripples to surge out. Shen Xiao Yuan, right? Today, I will let you see the true power of the origin of laws. As soon as his words fell, light flickered in Zichen's palms. In 3 directions in front, the space suddenly began to distort, as if an invisible barrier had appeared, blocking all the people rushing forward. An invisible barrier blocked everyone's path. Then, Zichen reached out and grabbed, and a stunned formation realm cultivator was dragged up by an invisible force. Zichen's eyes flashed, and the thought of killing rose in his mind. A wind blade appeared out of thin air and swept across the opponent's body. The formation realm cultivator fell. The others were shocked, killing a formation realm cultivator invisibly. Is this the power of the origin of laws? See, it's that simple. Zichen smiled slightly. Are you trying to scare me? It's also that easy for me to kill a formation realm cultivator. Shen Xiao Yuan said coldly. Is that so? The smile on Zichen's face did not diminish, and several formation realm cultivators' bodies slowly rose uncontrollably. When the nearby people saw this, they all attacked, but it was useless. Then, another wind blade appeared out of thin air and reaped the lives of these formation realm cultivators. Zichen's move undoubtedly stunned everyone. Shen Xiao Yuan shouted, Yang realm cultivators are attacking now, his strength is limited after all. A group of Yang realm cultivators immediately mobilized their strength to attack Zichen, and the law barrier that appeared earlier was still there, preventing them from advancing. Die. This time, Zichen attacked the Yang realm cultivators, still standing in place and using the power of laws to kill. They died with a single thought. The Yang realm cultivators fell one after another. Just as the battle broke out, a man appeared behind Zichen. His figure was relatively sturdy, and his face was full of whiskers as he walked towards the battlefield. Biyumi, who was hiding underground, popped his head out and saw the man. So it's a rat, I'll kill you later. The man glanced at Biyumi and did not care. Biyumi was frightened and burrowed into the ground again, but this time, it was very anxious because the person who came was a head realm cultivator. Could it be that an existence of this level also had his eyes on the origin of laws? Originally, Biyumi thought that it had already grasped all the clues of the enemy, and with Lord Zichen's means, it would not be difficult to deal with him. Unexpectedly, there was a head realm cultivator in the dark. This was troublesome. The other party had already appeared, and it was too late for Biyumi to warn Zichen now. The man stood thousands of feet away, watching the battle ahead. Zichen was killing, and those Yang realm cultivators could not withstand a single blow from him. Is this the power of the origin of laws? Not bad. The man narrowed his eyes, and infinite killing intent surged. He stomped his feet, and the earth rumbled as if there was an earthquake. Huge cracks spread out in all directions, and smoke and dust filled the air. The man's figure soared into the sky, his entire body glowing like a meteor cutting through the sky, carrying a powerful aura as he flew towards Zichen. Chapter 4687. The meteor cut through the sky, and heaven and earth seemed to be shaking. Countless ripples spread out from the sky. This was the full force attack of the head realm, but it was also a sneak attack. Who would have thought that the head realm would have such a move? Bumi had no time to remind Zichen. He could only pray that Zichen would be on his own. Mo Yuan and the others had not made a move, but they had been on guard. At the moment when heaven and earth were shaking, the four of them immediately turned around and prepared to resist together with the fate items in their hands. "I'll do it," Zichen shouted and then turned around. Countless power lights descended from the sky. These were the rules. The rules formed a layer of protection in front of him. Separated by the layer of protection, Zichen looked coldly at the incoming meteor. The attack of the head realm caused the world to become abnormal. It had to be said that it was very strong. But how could it be stronger than the rules? With a loud bang, a powerful airwave spread out. The nearby Mo Yuan and the others retreated one after another. Zichen's body slid backward and retreated into the crowd. Along with the appearance of the rules, 2 nearby speech realms were killed. The head realm flew backward and landed with a great commotion. He looked at Zichen from afar and said in a deep voice, "Good move. Even the head realm can't do it." Shen Xiao muttered. A cold smile appeared at the corner of Zichen's mouth. "The ignorant are fearless. With your methods, even if I stand here and don't move, you can't kill me." Hearing what Zichen said, the head realm snorted coldly. "You're just a speech realm, but you talk big. I want to see how much weight you have." Zichen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Then I'll have to trouble you to hurry up because the others will be here soon. A dignified head realm expert can't kill a speech realm expert. Won't it be a joke if people see it? Die." The head realm clenched his fist and approached again. A powerful aura swept out, and sand and stones flew around. Zichen once again mobilized the rules to defend. Streams of power descended from the sky, shining with various lights. The fist of the head realm hit the shield solidly. Powerful ripples surged, and Zichen's body slid backward again. But it was just a backward slide. The defense was not broken. The head realm glanced at both sides. Immediately, yang realms flew out from both sides. Zichen stretched out his hands, and an invisible force wrapped around them, trapping them in midair. Kai! Kai! In the next moment, wind blades appeared and decapitated the realm warriors on both sides. "Can I assume that your ability is only useful for the speech realm?" The head realm, who had yet to find an opportunity, watched this scene indifferently. He was indifferent to the deaths of the yang realm cultivators on both sides. Zichen nodded and said, "That's right. It's only effective against speech realm cultivators. Unfortunately, you can't kill me." Shen Xiao Yuan stood in the distance and didn't approach. Obviously, he knew that his strength was useless against Zichen. Stepping forward would only result in one more life being sacrificed. Actually, it was quite awkward at the moment. No matter how many Yang realm experts there were, they could not threaten Zichen. However, the head realm experts could not kill Zichen either. It was as though he was truly invincible. The head realm did not give up and rushed toward Zichen again. Facing such a powerful existence, Zichen did not choose to take the initiative to attack. He was still on the defensive. The power of the rules in the sky kept falling, forming layer after layer of protection. Rumbling sounds rang out continuously, and powerful auras kept spreading. The battlefield had been voluntarily given up. Demon Ape and the other 3 retreated far away. The battle before them was no longer something they could take care of. Wang Xian and Yi Qian looked back from time to time. There was obvious anxiety in their eyes. Bumi had been staying in the distance and did not approach to prevent that accident from happening. He believed that the news had been sent back by the flame rat. He just did not know when the 2 head realm experts would arrive. Would Zichen be able to hold on until then? Someone was coming, and there were quite a few of them. They watched from afar and did not approach the battlefield. Mo Di looked at the battle in front and said in surprise, "Someone can't hold on anymore." Mo Zhengtian turned to look at Mo Yi. "Is there an opportunity?" Mo Yi shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I don't think so. I didn't expect Zi Chen to be so powerful. The head realm is useless against him." Mo Zhengtian said, "What if we contact the head realm experts of our clan? Let's wait and see." "I feel that it's not that simple." Mo Yi said, "Sir, have you forgotten that there are 2 head realm experts by Zi Chen's side?" However, they did not appear in such a situation. Mo Zhengtian nodded. He had also noticed this situation. He even guessed that the other party might be hiding in the dark and waiting for Zi Chen to be in danger before making a move. Mo Yishuang continued, "Furthermore, please take a look. The battle has continued until now, but the head realm is still unable to suppress Zi Chen. This is enough to see how powerful Zi Chen's battle prowess is after he grasps the origin of the natural order. Since they dared to come here, they should know how to kill Zi Chen. Why haven't they made a move yet?" Mo Zhengtian was puzzled. Maybe they are waiting, or maybe they are hesitating. After all, this is not the best time. This was Mo Yi's guess. After all, he did not know what the other party was thinking. What's going on? Devil Ape also looked back. Based on this speed, the 2 head realm experts should be appearing soon. Why were they not here yet? On the battlefield, Zi Chen had been defending. However, how long could he last? What's the situation? Devil Ape looked at Su Mengyaro anxiously. Compared to the 3 of them, Su Mengyaro was still calm. "I can't see anything. However, there's no need to worry for now. That head realm expert can't kill Zi Chen," Su Mengyaro said. "Can't kill him? Zi Chen has been defending. There will be a time when he can't hold on, right?" Devil Ape was in disbelief. "Do you still remember that young man in white?" Su Mengyao asked instead of answering. Devil Ape was stunned. "Of course. What does this have to do with that young man?" Wang Xian and Yi Qian also looked at Su Mengyao in confusion. If the head realm expert could kill the young man in white, do you think he would still be alive now? Didn't you say that the young man has someone above him and no one dares to touch him? However, after killing the young man, they can replace him. As long as the person above is loyal, they shouldn't care about the others. Su Mengyao said, "Moreover, there are many people who hate the young man. Why haven't they made a move yet? Obviously, it's because they can't kill him." Looking at the problem from a different perspective, Devil Ape and the others realized that Zi Chen was resisting very easily. When the rule power descended from the sky, it was also very easy for him to neutralize the opponent's attack. This made them feel relieved. The head realm expert clenched his fists. Countless rays of light bloomed around his body. His aura immediately rose to its peak. Zi Chen felt the pressure. The white robe on his body fluttered without any wind. If he didn't have the origin of the rule power, Zi Chen would have turned around and fled in the face of such an existence. However, he was not afraid at all. In fact, no one understood that what blocked the head realm expert's attack was not the rule power, but the strong willpower contained in it. Under such willpower, the head realm expert could not kill Zi Chen. Because of his clear perception, Zi Chen knew that if he wanted to kill him, he would have to break the willpower contained in the rule power. This was the case when he killed the young man in white last time. Shen Xiao Yuan was still in the distance, watching the battle between the 2 sides. He was not anxious. Looking at the corpses on the ground, he was indifferent. The speech realm experts had also retreated early. They were not on guard against Zi Chen, but against the people in the distance. After all, Zi Chen had friends who might suddenly come forward to help. In addition, it was inevitable that some people would want to take advantage of the situation. Shen Xiao Yuan's gaze looked into the distance from time to time. He seemed to be distracted. Many people in the distance heard the sounds of the battle. There were people in all directions. After arriving, they watched from afar and did not get close. A group that looked like a grandfather and grandson came from afar. Because there were only 2 people, they did not attract attention. Among them, the old man was leaning on a cane made of green bamboo. The young man next to him was supporting the old man's arm. The old man was not fast, and the young man did not urge him. When they were a few 100 feet away from the battlefield, the old man waved his hand to signal for them to stop. There was a big rock in front of them. The young man supported the old man to lean against the big rock. The old man leaned on the cane with both hands and looked at the battle a few 100 feet away. He sighed. "It's good to be young. You're always so energetic." The young man was puzzled. Lord Kumar clearly has no chance of winning. Why hasn't she retreated? If this continues, even if we kill Zi Chen, how can we get the origin of the laws? The old man smiled. Is there anything else? The young man thought for a moment and said, Zi Chen is obviously difficult to kill. From the current situation, it's easy for us to lose. The old man said indifferently, if you can see this, do you think Kumar doesn't know? And Xiao Yuan, that child, can't see it. In fact, they're just waiting. The young man was puzzled. What are they waiting for? Since it's a game of chess, we naturally have to wait until all the pieces are on the board. The old man smiled. I didn't expect them to still be alive. Since we can't fight outside, let's fight to the death here. Opposite the old man, two people came from the horizon. They were a man and a woman. They didn't attract anyone's attention. They were Chung Ho and Hanu, who had rushed over after hearing the news. Shen Xiao Yuan turned his head and looked in a direction. There were ripples in that direction, and then a person appeared out of thin air. Those who could fly in the air in this world were all extraordinary. After the other person appeared, he nodded at Shen Xiao Yuan. Shen Xiao Yuan turned back and nodded at the head realm. The head realm punched. When Zi Chen retreated, he also used the force to retreat. More than 10 feet away, he looked at Zi Chen and said, that's enough. Zi Chen asked, are you planning to retreat? A shockwave appeared around them. Then, 4 towering mountains appeared in 4 directions around Zi Chen. The mountains released intense light, forming a sealed space. Zi Chen and the head realm were trapped in this space. The demon ape's expression changed. It remembered how the white-clothed youth had died. There was also an uproar behind them. Obviously, this was the key to killing Zi Chen. Sure enough, everyone knew this secret. The head realm smiled proudly. How do you feel now? Sensing the pressure of the space, Zi Chen immediately cupped his fists and said, how should I address you? The head realm mocked, Kumar, have you decided to kneel and beg for mercy? Don't you think it's too late? Zi Chen shook his head and said, no, I want to thank Lord Kumar. You will be the first head realm expert I kill in this strange world. With that, Zi Chen rushed forward and punched Kumar's chest like a bolt of lightning. Blood splattered in midair. Chapter 4688. The 4 peaks with the same height and corners isolated Zi Chen. The spatial suppression also cut off Zi Chen's connection with the laws of the other world. This was slightly different from what Zi Chen had done previously, but the effect was the same. However, Zi Chen did not mind. Rather, he had expected this. If they dared to come and kill him without such a plan, then they must be brainless. He had been on the defensive all this while, but now, he retaliated against the head realm cultivator. When his fist landed, dark red blood splattered in the air. Lord Kumar, who had been the main attacker, flew backward and landed more than 30 meters away. This scene shocked everyone outside the spatial zone. They had thought that after being isolated, Zi Chen would not be able to retaliate and might even die soon since he could not use the laws. They had not expected this to happen. Had they been careless? Shen Xiaoyuan was stunned. This was not what they had planned. Then, he glanced at the sky in the distance. There was no one there, so he could not get an answer. The young man in the distance glanced at the old man next to him. Grandpa, what's going on? The old man's expression did not change. He said, let's watch first. Kumar flew backward. When he landed, he looked at Zi Chen in shock. How is this possible? What did you do? Zi Chen, who was walking toward Kumar, pretended to feel wronged and said, aren't you the ones who came up with all this? What? Now you're blaming me for it. Don't you think I've been wronged? Zi Chen pointed at the surrounding peaks. Look, you've isolated the spatial zone. I can't use the power of the laws now, so I can only rely on you. Then, A beam of light appeared in front of Kumar's eyes. This was a bolt of lightning. It was as if the real lightning in the world had arrived in front of Kumar in the blink of an eye. The lightning was Zichen. In the face of this lightning bolt, he could not retaliate at all. He could only passively defend himself. A fist appeared from the lightning and landed on Kumar's chin. Her body was knocked flying. In addition to the blood in the air, there were also a few white teeth. No one knew what was going on. Without the suppression of the laws, Zichen could only defend himself. Why was it that with the suppression of the laws, Zichen could still become so powerful without being able to use the power of the laws? The old man nodded and seemed to understand the reason. So that's how it is. The young man wanted to ask more questions, but Lord Kumar landed on the ground and exclaimed, "I can't use my power." Only then did everyone understand why the situation had reversed. It turned out that in that sealed space, the cultivation of both sides would be equal. Under such circumstances, Zichen's advantage was truly revealed. This was because Zichen had always been in a state of crushing everyone in the same realm. 1 fist, 2 fists, 3 fists, every punch landed on flesh. Shen Xiao Yuan's expression kept changing. He seemed to be hesitating and struggling. Lord Kumar was clearly losing. Should he remove the sealed space? However, if that happened, Zichen would be able to use the laws again, and it would be even more troublesome. While Shen Xiao Yuan was hesitating, Zichen, who had thrown 7 punches in a row, retracted his fists and stood still. He made a solemn abdomen gesture and said coldly, "Farewell. I won't see you off." Kumar's body fell to the ground. This time, he did not get up. A powerful head realm cultivator could only last 7 punches after being in the same realm as Zichen. There was an uproar behind them. Shen Xiao Yuan was extremely regretful and depressed. If he had known this would happen, he would have removed the sealed space. That way, Lord Kumar would not have died. Chung Ho snorted. Idiot. If guardians could be killed so easily, they wouldn't be so popular. Han Enyu's attention shifted away from Zichen. She looked around and said after a while, "Something doesn't feel right." "What's wrong?" Han Enyu shook her head. "I don't know. There's a strong sense of uneasiness in my heart. It feels like something big is about to happen." Chung Ho crossed his arms and leaned against his head. "You're just too worried about Zichen. Don't worry, he won't die. Even if something happens, the 2 of us will be here." Then, Chung Ho patted his chest and promised, "Don't worry. Even if I, Chung Ho, have to fight to the death, I will protect Zichen. After all, he's our younger brother." He wanted to put on a good show in front of Han Enyu, but it reminded her of what happened last time. Her pretty face immediately turned cold. Feeling the cold aura around him, Chung Ho wanted to slap himself in the face. His mouth was too annoying. He had ruined the good atmosphere. The uproar was still going on. They could not believe that a head realm cultivator was killed just like that. The young man in the distance was also stunned. Then, he said sadly, "Lord Kumar died just like that." The old man sighed. "We underestimated his strength. This is fate." His expression was still calm. Kumar's death did not affect him at all. Zichen looked around and saw that the 4 mountains had disappeared. In their place were 4 swords that looked exactly the same. Zichen looked calm, but he was actually very surprised. Could these things be mass-produced? Soon, Zichen discovered the problem. The 4 weapons did not return to the hands of any of the divine race cultivators. Instead, they flew far away. This meant that no one was in possession of them. What's the meaning of this? Is it worth it to risk your lives to make me your enemy? Zichen looked in the direction that Dao Feng had left and said indifferently, "I had no intention of targeting you. Since you wanted to plot against me, I naturally can't let you live. I, Zichen, can guarantee that as long as I'm alive, I'll make the 4 of you disappear. Believe me, as the owner of the origin of the natural order, I have the ability to do so." As soon as he finished speaking, 4 figures appeared in the sky. They were all wearing black robes, which was a stark contrast to Zichen's white robes. The 4 of them looked coldly at Zichen. They did not cower because of the threat. Zichen's expression changed again. This was because the four of them looked exactly the same. They were like quadruplets. How could this happen in the alternate world? Moreover, their auras were almost the same. It was impossible to distinguish them without relying on the natural order. Zichen said coldly, "Do you want to die?" The four of them did not respond to Zichen. Or rather, they did not have time to respond. An oppressive aura appeared in the sky. Another person from the head realm had arrived. This was a demon. When he appeared, he stared at Zichen with murderous eyes. "My lord, this is..." When Mo Yi saw this, she was very surprised. This was the first time a demon from the head realm had appeared. Mo Zhengtian looked at the demon and shook his head. He did not recognize this head realm cultivator. Chapter 4689. It's actually Mo Lun. Mo Zhengtian's expression changed when he heard that. Mo Yizhen, Mo Di, and the others had never heard of this name before, so they were not familiar with it. However, they were curious when they saw the change in Mo Zhengtian's expression. To be able to make this arrogant guy call him Lord, it was obvious that the other party had a powerful background. Mo Zhengtian looked at them and said, "It's normal that you don't know about Mo Lun. He's a very ancient existence in the demon race. I've only heard of his name, but I've never seen him. I didn't expect him to come to the alternate world." Mo Zhengtian spoke with a hint of arrogance. This was his foundation. Even if these people were from sacred venerate families, their foundation was still insufficient in front of him. Mo Zhengtian deliberately raised his voice. Mo Lun is an expert who has not appeared in the world. In the Saint Spirit realm, he's an existence on the same level as the ancient sacred venerates. Moreover, he's an ancient sacred venerate who didn't die back then. He's a true antique and is different from those who came back from the dead. Mo Di and the others were shocked. An ancient sacred venerate comparable to an ancient sacred venerate. Wasn't that equivalent to Lei Zhangke from the Holy Thunder clan? That was publicly acknowledged as the number one person in the spiritual realm. Mo Yizhen was deep in thought. At this moment, Mo Zhengtian also could not understand why Lord would appear at this time. This was clearly a matter of the god race. Zichen looked at the head realm expert who introduced himself. The other party seemed very confident, even when he saw Kumar's corpse beside Zichen. Zichen did not know where the other party's confidence came from. He waved at the other party and said, "Welcome. You'll be the second." Mo Lun laughed mockingly. "Little kid, you're still too inexperienced to kill me." Zichen also laughed. "Do you want to try?" At this moment, the aura of a head realm expert surged out from behind Zichen. It was Chung Ho. He walked out. After the previous battle, Mo Lun would no longer foolishly enter the sealed space. Therefore, he had to be in the outside world to attack. Moreover, according to Chung Ho's perception, the one called Mo Lun was very unusual. At the very least, he was much stronger than Kumar. It could even be said that Demon Wheel was the same type of person as him. If you have the ability to look for me, then what's the point of looking for Yang Realm? Chung Ho waved at Mo Lun with a provocative tone. The old man in the distance smiled. This was the situation he wanted. "He doesn't need to deal with you. I'll do it." Another cold voice sounded. It was the second first realm of the demon clan. Lord Eugene. When Mo Zhengtian saw that person, he cried out in surprise again. He couldn't believe it. He knew that Sir Eugene had come to a different world. He even knew where Sir Eugene was. His original intention was to have this lord come out and help him when he was scheming against Zichen, so as to prevent any accidents from happening. Who would have thought that my lord would actually come by himself, and under such circumstances? It was another person he did not recognize. Mo Di asked, "Could it be that he is also an existence comparable to the ancient Holy Master?" Mo Zhengtian said proudly, "Of course." Mo Di and the rest sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Mo Yi was extremely shocked. Two existences comparable to Lei Zhangke, this was incredible. If these two entered the Saint Spirit realm, wouldn't they be able to suppress Lei Zhangke? "Eugene, I didn't expect you to come too." Chung Ho naturally knew Eugene, and the two of them could be considered familiar enemies. "But are you stupid? You actually dare to appear at this time. Do you want to die?" Hearing the conversation between the two sides, the people of the demon clan were all stunned. To dare use such a tone to speak to an ancient demon sovereign, what kind of background did the other party have? Chung Ho, don't be complacent. Today, I'll let you see who will live and who will die. Eugene said coldly. It's just 2 against 2. I don't know where your confidence comes from. Hanenyu also walked out at this time. Usually, your tone is when you have the advantage of numbers. Is that little Shan Ou also here? Otherwise, you wouldn't have the confidence. Hearing the conversation between the two sides, Mo Zhengtian gradually felt that something was wrong. Could it be that these two were also ancient holy masters? Could it be that in the Saint Spirit realm, Lei Zhangke was not the only ancient holy master? Hanenyu, I didn't expect you to think of me so much. Wasn't there always a rumor that the one you liked was Zi Chen, that short-lived ghost? An old voice sounded, and a third demon appeared. Unsurprisingly, this was also a head realm expert, equivalent to an ancient demon sovereign in the outside world. However, at this moment, many people were stunned, and then they all looked at Zi Chen. If what the demon sovereign said was true, then the short-lived ghost Zi Chen in the words was this person in front of them. After the former holy master Zi Chen came back from the dead, he grew step by step and was currently only in the Holy Spirit realm. When Shan Ou appeared, he looked even older, and his back was hunched. He looked at Zi Chen and said coldly, "It's really surprising that a short-lived ghost like you could come back to life. However, that's all. This time, when you die in the other world, you won't even have a corpse left. There's no chance of survival." Zi Chen did not know this old thing, but the killing intent in the other party's eyes was very strong. Obviously, he had a grudge with him in his previous life. He was not angry and said indifferently, "Old man, if you're in a hurry to be the second person, why don't you go first? Little thing, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Shan Ou said coldly, "You think you're worthy of fighting with me? He indeed disdains to fight with you because you've already lost to him." Hanenyu said, "Zi Chen, not only did he lose to you back then, you even took away a part of his life force. Don't think that he's still an ancient saint, his combat strength is actually the weakest among all of us." As soon as these words were said, it caused an uproar. The term Primeval Sacred Venerate was extremely sacred in the Saint Spirit boundary. The publicly recognized number 1 person, Lei Zhangke, was an ancient holy master. In recent years, although the Holy Thunder Clan had done many things that were despised by the world, when it came to Lei Zhangke, no one did not admire him. He was not only the backbone of the Holy Thunder Clan, but also the backbone of the entire Saint Spirit realm. Who would have thought that these people today were all ancient holy masters? This was a huge piece of news. So that's how it is. Zi Chen waved his hand and said, "Then get lost. Seeing that you're still alive, I won't kill you today. You're courting death." Shan Ou was furious and immediately rushed toward Zi Chen. Light shone in front of Zi Chen, forming a law defense. During this time, he deliberately looked at the sky. At this time, if the 4 existences had isolated the space, he was confident that he could kill this old thing. Even if he was an ancient holy master. Unfortunately, they did not move, so when Shan Ou approached, Zi Chen was forced to retreat. The law defense was distorted, as if it was about to shatter. Zi Chen said, "Old man, you're not weak. Why don't you get someone to hold up the space so that the 2 of us can have a fight?" Shan Ou snorted coldly and waved his sleeve, forcibly suppressing his anger. 3 against 2, you might not have a chance of winning. Chapter 4690. Originally, Zi Chen was the main character, and everyone who came here was because of him. They never thought that the head realm would appear one after another, and each of them was equivalent to the ancient holy venerables of the outside world. This was equivalent to several Lei Zhangke standing in front of them, and the shock it brought to everyone was completely imaginable. In contrast, no one paid attention to Zi Chen, who had the origin of the natural order. 3 against 2, although Chung Ho was confident, the situation was not good. What if this old man joins in? The old man who had been standing in the distance spoke. He stood up with the help of his walking stick and walked forward with the help of the young man. No one underestimated this old man who had to be helped to walk, because Chung Ho's expression changed when he saw him. Chung Ho said in a deep voice, "Even you came in, it seems that this strange world is very attractive to you. After many years of exploration and guessing, I found some interesting things, so I came in to test it." The old man smiled slightly. From the looks of it, there is still some progress. Chung Ho's expression changed again. "So, you have found the secret here, and this time, the trap is actually targeted at us. You are worried that we will destroy it, so you want to get rid of us before exploring the secret." "That's right, you have to die because you are too annoying." The old man said, "Don't worry that there will be problems with this trap, you are currently in a situation where you will definitely die. The right time, the right place, and the right people are all on our side this time." Just as the old man was speaking, a few figures appeared in the distance. They were all beasts. A Gushan silver wolf, a tiger, a black bear, a shadow leopard, a deer, a snake, and a lion. 7 animals, one for each. They were all in the head realm. The head realm represented the leader, and under the rule of the Gaduan king, only one leader was allowed to appear in each tribe in this area. The 7 head realms approached from afar. The earth shook, and movement came from the other side. Another head realm appeared, this time it was the leader of the Gushan people. Because they were directly under the Gaduan king's troops, there was no limit to their numbers, and this time there were also 7 head realms. That oppressive aura made the world lose its color. After the old man, there were actually another 14 head realms in the field, which shocked everyone. Even Zi Chen's expression changed. His originally calm state of mind in the face of the head of the realm of Superior began to fluctuate. In such a situation, it was clear that he was going to kill. "We have been enemies for many years. Before you two die, do you have any last words? Perhaps we can help?" the old man asked. Chung Ho and Han Enyu remained silent. "This is bad. Is there any chance of survival?" The demon ape looked at Su Mengyaro from afar. At this moment, no one could see any hope. However, the devil ape hoped to see a miracle from Su Mengyaro. Su Mengyaro shook her head, "I didn't care about this before, but now it's too late." Wang Xian smiled bitterly. "I don't think there's a need for me to predict such a situation. Indeed, in terms of numbers, the enemy had an absolute advantage. When they fought, it was completely a situation of ganging up on them. The outcome could be foreseen by everyone, and there was no need to predict it." Shan Ou sneered, "That's right. Do you have any last words? Hurry up and say it. Han Enyu, if your wish is to be buried with your little lover, I can promise you that." Han Enyu's gaze turned cold. "How many years has it been? I always say that your brains are not good. Who would have thought that I would be tricked by you guys today?" A bitter smile was heard as a middle-aged man appeared on the scene. "This time, it seems that I have underestimated you." Chung Ho glanced at him. "Things have already come to this. Why do you still want to appear? Do you really want to watch the two of you die?" The man said, "That's too inhumane. If you hide, you can live. If you appear, only death awaits. What's the point? In any case, you can at least have a grand battle to the death, right?" The man smiled and said, "As the saying goes, 100 plans can lead to a careless mistake. Perhaps there is a loophole in their plan." The old man sneered, "Ning Hua, this time, we don't have a plan. We only have numbers. Under the absolute advantage of numbers, you guys will definitely die. In other words, 1 or 2 more won't matter." Another voice rang out. This time, 2 men came. It seemed that they belonged to the ancient holy sage side. After the 2 of them arrived, they both greeted Han Enyu. Zi Chen had never seen these 3 people before, but he could vaguely guess where they came from. It should be a place called the God-Suppressing Gate. Is there anyone else? If there is, hurry up and come out. Even if we die together, we can still leave a good reputation. Shan Ou shouted to the surroundings. Sure enough, 4 more heads appeared in the sky. The one in the lead was a white-furred mouse. The other 3 were a cat, a dog, and a chicken. It really is them. Zi Chen's expression changed. When they came in, they came from 4 different entrances. There were these 4 existences near each of the 4 entrances. They appeared at this time and helped me before. Could it be that they were instructed by the outside world? Zichen had such a guess in his heart. The white-furred mouse walked with some difficulty. According to its race's character, it should not show its face at this time, let alone in such a disadvantageous situation. However, it had no choice. It had to express its position at this time because the order had appeared again. So, they came, even if it meant death. The humans didn't care, but the eyes of the exotic beasts opposite them were incomparably cold. Usually, they might not get along with each other, but they would restrain themselves when they meet. But today, they met in such a situation. They were the real enemies. Perhaps after today, there would be no more rats in Gaduan King's territory. 9 against 18, it seems that there is still no chance of winning. Chung Ho muttered. Han Enyu said, whether there is a chance of winning or not, we will only know after we fight. The old man in front suddenly waved his hand and said, wait, there is no rush. Everyone was a little puzzled. At this time, there was no rush. Did they have to wait for Han Enyu to bring more allies? Actually, it's all because of the origin of the natural laws. When we are fighting to the death, why don't we find the origin of the natural laws first? This is the source of the trouble. The old man looked at Zichen, so, let's kill him first. Yes, absolutely. When Chung Ho heard this, he immediately nodded and responded reflexively. It was better not to start the battle first. But in the next moment, a cold gaze was cast over. Chung Ho said, can my ass? Absolutely not. How can my brother Zichen die in front of me? It had to be said that his desire to live was still very tenacious. Han Enyu took a step forward, and a cold aura surged, about to attack. They want to kill me, and I want to kill them too. Sister Han Enyu, why don't you let me try first? Chapter 4691. Zichen was completely ignored. Everyone's attention was on the ancient holy venerables or the demon venerables. It was only at this time that Zichen attracted attention again. If it was someone else who said this, Han Enyu would certainly not agree. She would not let Zichen take the risk. But the one who spoke was Zichen. Zichen looked at Han Enyu and said, at this time, perhaps this is the only way. Han Enyu, who had also experienced hundreds of battles, naturally understood what Zichen meant. The current situation was very unfavorable to them, so only Zichen could stall for some time here to change the situation. Or rather, to earn more money. Moreover, Zichen's idea was simple. As long as they made a move, he would be able to kill the head realm, whether the other party was an ancient demon venerable or an ancient divine venerable. The premise was that they dared to enter the sealed space. Those exotic beasts stayed in the distance and did not come over. Zichen suddenly stretched out his hand, and Shen Xiao Yuan in the distance seemed to be strangled, his face flushed red. Zichen chose to take the initiative to make a move when he could use the rules. As the initiator of this incident, Shen Xiao Yuan was naturally Zichen's primary target. The young man next to the old man became extremely nervous when he saw this scene. The old man moved directly toward Shen Xiao Yuan, wanting to save him. His movements were agile, and he did not look like he could not walk at all. At this moment, the old man suddenly abandoned Shen Xiao Yuan and turned back, pulling the young man back. A wind blade swept past the place where the young man was originally standing, leaving a mark in the air. This happened very quickly. The old man retreated far away with the young man. The young man's face was pale, and he had lingering fear. Zichen had not paid attention to him from beginning to end, but suddenly attacked him. The old man stared at Zichen. You saw through it. Zichen said, no, I just tried to see who was more important. The old man glanced into the distance. Shen Xiao Yuan had fallen to the ground, no longer breathing. The young man also saw it and began to feel sad. Your realm is gone, but I didn't expect your mind to still be there. Since you've already seen through it, there's nothing more to say. The old man said coldly, today's situation is really not easy. Naturally, you have to meet all the requirements. In your words before, now is the time for you to leave. When the old man finished speaking, the divine race cultivators who had retreated before, as well as the divine race cultivators who had come after them, immediately rushed forward. Zichen's eyes turned cold. He rushed forward, the light of power surging as he mobilized the rules to kill. The four existences standing in the sky once again propped up a space, but just as this space was propped up, two more people appeared in the sky, and they still looked exactly the same. No one knew what the old man's intentions were, but it was clear that this was a trap set up to target Zi Chen. Without hesitation, the devil ape and the other three moved forward. It's useless. You're too far away from the main body. You can't break through that sealed space. The white-haired rat said, this is their trap. Naturally, they have already dealt with everything, just like us last time. The devil ape looked forward, and a total of 38 divine race cultivators appeared in his field of vision. The space that was originally sealed by 4 mountains had now become 6. The isolated space was also slightly different from before. There were a total of 2. It was like putting a small space inside a large space. There were 37 people in that small space, and Zi Chen and the 38th person were in that large space. The devil ape was stunned when he saw this scene. What's going on? The others were also very puzzled. Success. They actually succeeded. The white-haired rat's voice began to tremble, and there was despair in his eyes. They actually opened up a perfect space, a space without any flaws. It's over. Zi Chen is completely finished this time. We're also finished. Next, we can only wait for death. What's going on? The devil ape said anxiously. Is this situation very troublesome? The white-haired rat didn't despair when faced with such a dangerous situation last time. This time, before the battle even began, it actually felt despair. It's not just troublesome. It's a situation of certain death. The white-haired rat's voice trembled. Last time, the space that you opened up with the fate items could only be used once. In that space, only one of Zi Chen and his protectors could come out alive. That was because the 4 fate items were different. There were also loopholes in the connection between them, and it was impossible to isolate the space indefinitely. But it's different now. The space they sealed is perfect. There are no loopholes, so that space can exist indefinitely. But that's not the most terrifying thing. The most despairing thing is that they've managed to create another small space within this space. Do you see those 37 existences? They're currently in the same space as Zi Chen. To put it more bluntly, everyone is in the same house. This house has 2 rooms, and there is a door in the middle. As long as you open the door, you can walk through it. Everyone understood the white-haired rat's last metaphor, and they all began to worry. Su Mengyaro said, in that case, as long as they all walk into that space, Zi Chen will have to fight against the 38 people at the same time. The white-haired rat shook its head. No. Although this space is perfect, we still have to follow the rules in this world. Zi Chen doesn't have to fight 38 people at the same time, but he has to take turns fighting 38 people. It's over. This time, it's completely over. So that's how it is. The white-haired rat, who was still sighing, heard the heavy breathing of the 4 people beside it. Its previous worries had long disappeared. Wouldn't it have been over if you said that earlier? You scared me half to death. The devil ape picked up the stone rod and said, you, a head realm expert, are quite good at creating a tense atmosphere. Fortunately, we are brave and won't be scared to death so easily. Why? Don't you feel despair? The white-haired rat said, Zi Chen has to fight 38 people at the speech realm in a row. This is a round-robin battle to exhaust Zi Chen to death. The devil ape said, if you said that Zi Chen had to fight 38 people at once, I would be a little worried. However, we are not worried if 38 people take turns to fight him. It's not wrong to take turns to fight, and it's also very immoral. However, if that person is not afraid of exhaustion, then wouldn't the round-robin battle be a deathmatch? The white-haired rat said angrily, naive, really naive. In that space, Zi Chen won't have any power to replenish. He can't use the rules either. He's just at the speech realm, an ordinary speech realm expert. The white-haired rat was very indignant, but it realized that the 4 of them were looking at it strangely. Their gazes seemed to be saying, you're the naive one. The white-haired rat was a little confused. It didn't know what was going on. In the sealed space, Zi Chen looked at the many speech realm experts opposite him. I say, You guys made such a big commotion just for this. Humph. Don't be so smug. The 38 of us will take turns to fight you. Let's see how long you can last, the speech realm expert opposite him said coldly. Chapter 4692. The first Yang realm expert fell at Zichen's feet. His vitality was gone. Zichen ended the battle with just one punch. Looking at the others in the space in front of him, Zichen said, "Are you guys planning to wear me down? Sorry, that's impossible. Everyone who comes out has to fight me to the death. Either you die here or die on the ground." It was death either way. This wasn't arrogance, but confidence. Absolute confidence. This confidence seemed to infect the white-furred rat. It, who was in despair earlier, also gained some confidence. The cat, dog, and chicken walked over to the white-furred rat. The four of them no longer had any concerns. Now that they were here, they had already announced their break with Geduan King's faction. Next, it was up to fate. Zichen became the focus of attention again, but every battle he fought had to be a life-and-death battle. Zichen looked very confident. Many people looked at the old man, wanting to see his bitter expression. After all, they had overlooked Zichen's combat strength. It was equivalent to sending their own people to be killed by Zichen. One had to know that although these people were all in the speech realm here, no one dared to guarantee that they would be in the outside world. 9-star Saint Spirit? Or half-step Holy Venerable? A gap that could accommodate others appeared in the space ahead. The second Yang realm expert walked out. He held a bamboo blade in his hand. It should be a weapon from the bamboo house. He walked forward step by step. The aura of the Yang realm circulated as if he wanted to pressure Zichen. Everyone looked at Zichen. He took the initiative to fight to stall for time, but now his opponents wanted to take turns to fight. There was plenty of time. Everyone wanted to see what choice Zichen would make. If he continued to stall, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Zichen wasn't conflicted about this problem. He stepped forward, approached, and threw a punch. The Yang realm shouted and blocked with his bamboo blade. A complete huge light array appeared under his feet. Energy formed a shield in front of him. The opponent's goal was very clear. It was to defend. Zichen's punch landed on the bamboo blade, causing it to snap. The powerful force sent Yang Jin retreating, only stopping when he hit a barrier. Blood trickled down the corner of Yang Jing's mouth. He didn't bother to wipe it off. He immediately threw away the broken weapon in his hand and dashed to the side. Since they were stalling for time and exhausting Zichen's strength, they had to ensure their own survival as much as possible. Even if it was just running laps in this space, Zichen would be exhausted to a great extent. Shua. His vision blurred, and Zichen was already in front of him. Zichen's speed shocked Yang Jing. He immediately retreated and continued to raise his defense. Zichen's fist grew larger in front of his eyes, and then there was a dull thud. Yang Jing felt like he was enveloped by a powerful force, and then he lost consciousness. This time, Zichen used 2 punches. Before he could catch his breath, another passageway opened up in the space, and a third person walked out. After the realm of words appeared, he didn't choose to run away. Instead, he charged at Zichen. However, just as Zichen mobilized his strength, he chose to retreat. Looking at the dead realm of words, Zichen, who had used 3 punches, was somewhat dissatisfied. The surroundings were silent. Everyone was watching the battle, but their expressions were different. The sad young man gradually calmed down. He stood in front of the old man and watched Zichen's battle seriously. Seeing his companions fall and die one after another, he couldn't bear to see them die like this. During this time, he looked at the old man a few times. He wanted to say something, but he hesitated. Look carefully. This is the strongest spirit of this generation. The old man looked at the battlefield. Back then, he was a great enemy of gods and demons, but he died for unknown reasons. However, after coming back from the dead, not only did he not weaken, he seems to be stronger than before. Well, how should I put it? Perhaps it's not that he's become stronger, but that the people of this generation have become weaker. Almost no one can compete with him. If he's allowed to grow, the consequences will be unimaginable. Therefore, He's also our target this time. He must die. The old man's eyes flashed coldly. In this alternate world, everyone's strength is suppressed. This is a rare opportunity for us. After all, to kill a great enemy in the future, sacrifices are inevitable. If we don't sacrifice ourselves today, more of our companions will die at his hands in the future. In fact, the entire god race will be destroyed because of him. At this time, the sixth realm of words was killed by Zichen. Without being able to mobilize the laws, Zichen killed the sixth realm of words with his own strength. It seemed like he didn't expend any energy, but there were still 32 enemies. The battle would continue. This time, we're cooperating with the demons. The demons are the leaders, and we're the realm of words. This is to ensure that nothing goes wrong. A smile appeared on the old man's face. If the plan succeeds, we'll be able to flatten the Saint Spirit world after leaving this alternate world. The young man said, but I don't understand. Isn't the god race where we live good? Why do we have to go to the Saint Spirit world? The spiritual power there might not be as dense as in the god world. It might not be beneficial for us. You're still too young. You don't know the beauty of life. The old man's eyes suddenly flashed. He said boldly, unifying the spirit world is the trend. The young man shook his head. I still don't agree with this view. Grandpa, why can't we all live in peace? Don't we already occupy enough space? Even if we move everyone in the god world over, it should be enough, right? Do you know about the demon god? The old man asked instead of answering. The young man nodded. I heard from the elders that the strongest person in the demon race was also the strongest person in that world. When the old man heard this, he sneered and said, it's true that the demon clan is the strongest, but the current strongest is deliberately mystifying. If he was the strongest in the current world, why was he still killed by the holy venerate of the spirit clan and ended up like that after scheming against the spirit clan? The young man didn't understand. Why did he mention the demon god? No matter if it's the god race or the demon race, they're all self-proclaimed. It's only limited to the god world and demon world. It doesn't include the spirit world. Do you know why this is? The old man asked and answered his own question. Because the spirit world is a very special place. It's the origin of all living things. Only by becoming the strongest in the spirit world can one truly be considered the strongest. Why was Zichen targeted back then? Aside from being at odds with us gods and demons, it was also because he was the existence closest to becoming a spiritual god. Once he truly became a spiritual god and obtained his recognition, the god and demon clans would no longer exist in this world, and the god and demon realms would no longer exist. Zichen back then hated the god race and demon race to the bone. This was a secret, and it should be one of the few secrets in the current world. The young man was moved. Spiritual god? I've never heard of this before. That's because the spiritual god no longer exists in this world. Even the deeds of the spiritual god have long been lost in the long river of time. It's also because of this that the spirit world had no desire and gave up this unique gift in vain. However, Zichen, who came back from the dead, walked the path of the strongest, so he must die. As for the remaining survivors, they are all ancient holy venerables and have extraordinary battle strength. They must all die. Only then can the three realms be at peace. A rare look of madness appeared in the old man's eyes. This alternate world is the best opportunity to destroy them. At this moment, the 23rd head realm expert fell. After killing 23 people in a row, Zichen's face gradually turned pale, and his strength was depleted. This feat was enough to shock everyone. Unfortunately, there were still more than a dozen enemies waiting for Zichen. Wang Xian looked at Su Mengyao. After Zichen started fighting, Su Mengyao started to make deductions. This time, the opponent's plan was simple and straightforward. However, nothing in the world was absolute. Often, variables would appear and disappear continuously. Therefore, Su Mengyao wanted to try her best to find a way to survive while Zichen was fighting. Yi Qian looked at the head realm experts on her side. She wasn't curious about their identity as ancient holy venerables, but she wanted to see some clues from their expressions. The last ancient holy venerables who appeared looked at Zichen's fight and weren't too worried. They seemed to have absolute confidence. However, there were still no experts on their side. Could it be that they are already here and are just hiding in the dark, ready to attack at any time? Yi Qian thought to herself. There was an uproar. The 26th head realm expert was killed. Zichen was surrounded by corpses. His chest was heaving up and down, and his energy consumption was increasing. His face was pale as he looked at the space in front of him. There are still 12 more. Please hurry up. In the sky, 6 people who looked almost identical looked down at the battlefield coldly. Their expressions didn't change at all as Zichen kept winning. After 10 punches, the 27th head realm expert fell and died. In the first battle, Zichen only used 1 punch to end the battle. Even when he killed Kumar, he only used 7 punches. Everyone could see that Zichen's combat power was decreasing. The white-furred mouse asked worriedly, "There are still 11 more. Can Zichen still hold on?" The devil ape said in a low voice, "Of course. You don't have to worry about Zichen. Do you have any friends in the head realm on your side? Hurry up and call them over. When Zichen's battle is over, they might make a move." The white-furred mouse smiled bitterly. "Why don't you take a look at what kind of species we are? How can we have friends? Who would want to be friends with us? Usually, the 4 of us would hug each other for warmth. This time, we're risking our lives to stand with you." The devil ape said unhappily, "Aren't you mice? You hide underground all day. Didn't you nurture a few more head realm experts? At this point, don't hide anymore. Hurry up and call them out. It's fine to keep up appearances. Geduan isn't just a king. His words can completely represent the rules here. There's only 1 head realm expert. This rule can't be broken. It's easy for a 2nd head realm expert to appear. After the first one dies, there will naturally be another." Geduan's words were equivalent to not saying anything. The devil ape couldn't be bothered with him anymore. After another 10 punches, Zichen destroyed the bamboo soldiers and killed the Yang realm expert. Zichen gradually found it difficult to fight against the following enemies. 11 punches, 12 punches, 13 punches. More and more energy was consumed. Moreover, as the battle continued, Zichen also suffered some injuries. Blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. His internal organs were severely shaken. When there were only 3 enemies left, Zichen started coughing up blood. It was obvious that he was injured. This Zichen is really something. Fortunately, he's about to die. Mo Zhengtian smiled coldly. His heavy mood lifted a lot. The others looked ahead nervously. At this moment, they even held their breaths. Mo Yiyang gripped Mo Yishush's clothes tightly. Unknowingly, she tightened her grip. She was also very nervous. Now that she recalled the scene when she met Zichen, the other party's smile was very sincere and kind. If she didn't know that Zichen had killed many demons without batting an eyelid, she would have suspected whether the Zichen she met that day was the legendary Zichen. Mo Yishushi didn't say anything. At this moment, she was also very nervous. This situation wasn't planned by her. Moreover, this situation had long exceeded her ability. Not to mention the Yang realm expert, even 1 or 2 ancient sacred venerables wouldn't be able to change this situation. This time, how are you going to find a way out? Mo Yishushi muttered in her heart. Her mood was very complicated. Another one of the Yang realms had fallen. Only 2 were left. The spatial door opened again, and the second last person walked out. Just like the others, he used his most powerful technique as soon as he appeared. Since he knew that he was going to die, why didn't he leave some memento on Zichen before he died? Mo Yishushi's gaze moved away from the battlefield and looked at the last Yang realm expert. She thought to herself, could it be that the trump card is him? Zichen was very strong, but after fighting for so long, his energy consumption had increased, so he couldn't be much stronger. Although the Yang realm experts sent by the Shen clan weren't weak, there was no one who could make their eyes light up. This didn't seem to make sense. Perhaps the goal of the Shen clan is to put Zichen at the end and kill him together with the other Yang realm experts. Perhaps they really think that 38 Yang realm experts can kill Zichen by taking turns to tire him out? Mo Yi Shushi wasn't the only one who had this guess. As the battle neared its end, more people muttered in their hearts. See, if such a person doesn't die, do you think the Shun clan will have a future? The old man said indifferently. If he becomes a sacred venerate, how many people should we send to kill him? The young man nodded, seeming to understand. At this time, the 37th Yang realm expert fell. There was only one left. You are very strong, beyond our expectations. However, you still have to die today. The last Yang realm to walk out stabbed Zichen with his sword. A powerful aura surged, forming a wave of air that blew the surrounding corpses to the corners of the space. The bamboo weapon in the Yang realm's hand broke, and a bloody wound appeared on Zichen's shoulder. There was no stalemate, no entanglement. The battle was over in an instant. The last Yang realm expert died, and Zichen was still alive. The two spaces still existed and hadn't collapsed. Zichen looked up at the 6 space masters in the air. It's your turn now. The 6 of them moved. They didn't escape but formed seals. The two spaces began to merge and become a complete space. In this space, there was one more person besides Zichen. It was that young man. Chapter 4693. No one knew how the young man had appeared. Previously, everyone's attention had been on the 6 godlike beings in the sky. However, as the space merged, the young man appeared in front of Zichen. There was only the young man. Everything seemed to have returned to the starting point. The battle was now one-on-one again. The strong wind blew the corpse of the Yang realm expert and the broken weapon to the sides of the space. Other than the blood on the ground, there were only 2 people left. The difference was that Kumar had become the young man in the Yang realm. Another change was that Zichen was injured and had used up a lot of energy. No one knew who the young man was or why he would stand against Zichen and become the last resort in this round. Their understanding of the young man was limited to the fact that Zichen had suddenly given up on killing the leader, Shen Xiaoyuan, and chose to deal with the unknown young man instead. However, the old man, who had great authority, had given up on saving Shen Xiaoyuan and saved the young man from Zichen's attack. However, the young man had not participated in the battle back then. Hence, no one had paid much attention to him. Everyone had thought that the young man was just a beloved descendant of the old man's family. Now, it seemed that the young man was the final trump card. Someone recalled the conversation between the old man and Zichen. How did you know? Could it be that Zichen had known that the young man was the final trump card? Shameless. How shameless. When the white-furred rat saw this, he was so angry that he stomped his feet. It's already shameless enough that dozens of you ganged up on one person. I didn't expect this. You humans are too shameless. The confidence on the faces of the devil ape and the others also decreased. As the final trump card, the young man was obviously not ordinary. Sister, how is it? Wang Xian'er asked softly. I'm not sure. Su Mengyaro shook her head slightly. Everything was grey and she could not deduce anything. However, Zichen won't lose so easily. Hello, Zichen. My name is Shen Hao. The young man looked at Zichen and said sincerely and apologetically, I'm sorry that I appeared here at this time. I'm afraid that I'm taking advantage of him. It's not that he's taking advantage of someone's perilous state. This is taking advantage of someone's perilous state. Zichen said, but a Protoss like you who knows how to be ashamed and have a sense of dignity is a rare species. Shen Hao said guiltily, I am really sorry. It was not my intention to stand here. But you are a great enemy of the celestial race. No matter how guilty I feel, I cannot be merciful and disregard righteousness. That is why I must kill you today. Or rather, you killed me. Zichen nodded and said, the winner takes all. Come at me if you can. Since they had become enemies, the young man naturally became serious. He knew that this situation was not easy to come by, so he did not give Zichen time to adjust his breathing. He rushed towards Zichen. The young man didn't use any powerful spells. He simply charged forward like a raging bull. However, in Zichen's field of vision, there was a myriad of phenomena in front of him. It was as if there was a divine mountain moving, but also as if there were 10,000 beasts galloping. He shouted loudly, his voice loud and clear. Ripples spread outwards. He was worried that this was an illusion. After all, the power was too strange. It was not an illusion. Everything was still there. A tyrannical and suffocating aura came towards him. As the trump card of the celestial race, the young man was fully deserving of the title. Zichen suddenly remembered what Su the Hall Spirit had said. The celestial race, the demonic race, and the spiritual race were all different. The demonic race was most powerful in their souls, while the celestial race was most powerful in their physical bodies. Could it be that this young man belonged to the celestial race, who had a tyrannical physical body? Since the start of the battle, Zichen had changed from attacking to defending for the first time. The matrix under his feet lit up. Light surged around him, forming a defense. In the eyes of the crowd, Zichen's action meant that he was showing weakness. The old man smiled slightly. Everything was within his expectations. The young man directly charged forward. Zichen flew backward. His internal organs, which were already churning, began to surge wildly. Puff! Zichen landed on the ground and coughed up blood. His face turned even paler. The young man was still calm. He suddenly tapped his temples with 2 fingers. A divine light flew out from his sea of consciousness and turned into the shape of a sword. Sword of thought. With a low shout, the sword formed from thought entered Zichen's sea of consciousness. Zichen staggered as if he had been hit by a heavy blow. He took a few steps back. The young man took a step forward. The earth shook. He clasped his hands together like a monk putting his palms together to greet someone. Then, a dazzling light appeared from the young man's palms. It formed a real sword light and shot out. The sword light fell from the sky with a whistling sound. The sword chi sank into the ground, forming a mark that was more than 10 feet long. Zichen was at the end of the sword chi. A bloody wound appeared on his body. It was quiet outside the space. Everyone was watching the young man. They watched as the young man displayed thunderous means in an instant. Zichen, who was defending, retreated again and again. He kept coughing up blood. Many people's expressions changed. With such combat strength, even if he encountered Zichen at his peak, he could still fight. Everyone finally understood why the young man was the last to attack. He was here to reap Zichen's life. Zichen slowly got up and looked at the young man in front of him. He said in a low voice, "You're very strong." The young man no longer had the complicated emotions from before. He became extremely cold. "You too. If it were anyone else, they would have died after 3 of my moves. You were seriously injured, but you could still take 3 of my moves. I admire you, so I will remember this day. Every year at this time, I will burn incense for you. In the words of the spirit race, it's called remembering an old friend. *T, you still want to reminisce? That sounds nice, but do you dare to fight Zichen after he recovers?" A dissatisfied voice came from outside the space. It was Monk. After hearing the news from Bumi, they immediately rushed over. However, they still missed the previous battle. Monk angrily scolded, "You're just a brat who hasn't seen the world. You talk about morality like others. Is morality something to be said? It's something to be said. If you let Zichen recover, I'll make Zichen give you an arm and a leg." The young man didn't turn around. Instead, he looked at Zichen with a cold expression. "You're the last to fight, so you must be an expert of the divine race. Damn it, where's your dignity? Not to mention Zichen, even Lord Zeng would be able to kill you. The divine race is a big clan. How can you be so unpresentable?" The young man still didn't look at Monk. Instead, he said, "There's no point in stalling like this. Instead, it will ruin your image in my heart. I don't think you're that kind of person." Zichen stretched out his hand and made an inviting gesture. "I'll say it again. If you want to kill me, bring it on." Whoosh! The young man's body dissipated like smoke. Zichen's eyes immediately sharpened. He turned around and punched. Lightning surged on his fist.